So, welcome everyone to episode 11 of Speak Podcast. I mean, you guys know, like, I had to do that because today we have a special guest here, and his name is Puertorock. Welcome
What's
to the
cool?
show.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I love the intro. I was not expecting that. Whoa, man, I was about to stand up and dance a little bit of salsa. I'm like, oh, we're gonna party up tonight. We're gonna have a great time. But
Yes.
thank you so much for the invite, Luca, my girl, my sister from another mister.
Hey,
We in the same
hey, what up,
podcast,
dude?
so you know this is going to
Yes.
be lit.
Y'all are so cute. Of course, Luca's here. You guys know.
Hi. So happy to have my bro here. I'm very excited. I've been wanting to have him on for a while, so I can't wait to get in these topics.
So, let's tell us a little bit about yourself, Mr. Puertorock. Where are you from? What do you do?
Okay, no problem. I originally was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York.
Hey,
I lived
BK
there.
in the house.
Yeah, that's how we do. I grew up in the area of Williamsburg, Greenpoint, in
Oh,
the
damn.
'90s and stuff. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So life was a little bit different than what people recognize New York now.
Mm-hmm.
It was a bit more ethnic. You had your neighborhoods, you had your Puerto Rican neighborhoods, your Irish neighborhoods, Polish neighborhoods, Russian neighborhoods. So it was more segregated, but at the same time, you didn't have like racial issues. You just knew where you belong and where you needed to go. And if you had any business in another neighborhood, do what you got to do there. Like if you're gonna go to the Italian neighborhood to eat at a restaurant or get a cake because they had the best bakeries, you know, get what you're gonna get and then leave. It was that type of setting for me growing up.
Mm-hmm.
Then when I turned like 19, I left pretty much New York when I joined the Marines. And I just, traveled around the world, lived in different places, and I think I expanded my experiences, which I appreciate. And we probably could talk more about that later. But I always went back to New York because that's where most of my family's at. My parents are still
Nice.
there, my brothers, my nephew, my nieces. So I always find a way to go back. And of course, the pizza's there, and the Yankees are there. So
Yep.
and stuff. But yeah, so yeah, left New York, and I been in the Marines. In fact, I hit 21 years. I already hit 21 years of service, and I
Damn.
still keep going. So that's
Wow.
that's
Thank
the
you for your service.
quick nutshell. Thank you. No
Yes, thank you
problem.
so much.
Of
That's a
course.
damn that's a long time.
Yeah,
um
lots to talk about if that's what we head into.
yeah.
But yeah.
And if you guys didn't know, Puertorock is a gamer. Tell us a little bit how you got into that, into the YouTube and gaming and all that good stuff.
Well, as far as gaming, I got into it in arcades because in the early '80s, arcades was a big thing. So I was spending as a little kid my times in arcade. Just spending my dad's quarters over and over and over.
My dad's quarters.
Yeah, I got into home gaming with my uncle, and it was with a ColecoVision. So he had it, and ironically enough, my uncle was also a Marine, so he
Hmm.
was like an inspiration for me as well. Who later on down in life, but he had a ColecoVision, and I was playing Rocky on it, and I
Wow.
just thought it was amazing that I was doing what I did in arcades, but at home. So eventually, I wanted my own system, and the first system I got was the
Um, I think there we go. You
everything
still
right.
there? Yeah. Okay. You cut
Yeah, I'm
out for a
here.
second.
Oh,
The
I cut
first
out.
system
So I
you
was
got was a
asking.
what?
The
ColecoVision.
Sega Master System. Oh no, that was by my uncle. That's what I
Oh, okay,
played.
okay,
I
okay.
played on the ColecoVision, but the first console I ever owned was the Sega Master System. And then
Nice.
eventually I just started getting every other console throughout, the generations and stuff. But I think,
Every other
but it all
console.
began with the arcade and my uncle, and that's
That's
how I got into
cool.
gaming. And
And
it
what
was
made
just
you start
something that I
YouTube?
YouTube. Okay, so I was always into. All right, so let me backtrack so you can understand. So while I was enjoying gaming, with the Genesis, I was just enjoying game across the board. I got the Sega CD, the 32X, but I noticed over time some things weren't as supported as others. Like I had the Sega CD, and half of it, I paid for it with my allowance money, and my dad paid the other half, but it was still a lot of money,
Yeah.
and there was hardly any games. So over time, I'm thinking I don't understand why these cool things like 32X, Sega CD. I had the Bazooka on the Nintendo platform. There was a TurboGrafx 16, and I noticed some things were supported better than others, and I just didn't understand. So around
Mm-hmm.
the PlayStation 1 and N64 gen, I started paying attention to the business side of gaming. I started paying attention to like MPDs. I started paying attention to what developers are saying and publishers are saying. I used to read articles, and then it started making sense, on how sales impact the console. So over time, I just stuck with that. Nice. Then when I got the internet, I started learning more. I used to join forums and, GameSpot forums, System 1 forums, and I started learning more. So I started seeing the signs of what's going to be successful, what's not. Something might sound like a good idea, but it's really not going to pan out. And then later on, that delved into YouTube, where I started following, YouTube content creators. What broke me out of my shell was actually two people. It was my brother-in-law and Zaire, Next Gen 720. My brother-in-law, because we always talked about gaming, he's like, yo, you need to make a YouTube channel because this is the stuff people want to hear. And Zaire, he put me on a podcast. He used to have a podcast called Pony versus Xbox, which is a debate podcast, but he couldn't get a lot of good PlayStation debaters. So he put me on, and then after that, it just took off, and more people were like, hey, when you're going to get your own channel, when you're going to get your own channel. So I just started doing my own channel based off that. And that's pretty much how everything got started.
Nice. It's good to hear, everyone's like origin story, I think. I mean, it's interesting to me. So let's move on to our next segment, which is the questions. So, of course, here is where we get to ask questions so that you guys get to know us and you get to know our guest. Each week so far, we've had different questions, and hopefully these will be interesting to you guys. So, I do hear okay, so question time. What chore do you absolutely hate doing? Luca, let's hear yours.
I hate doing the dishes. At my my old apartment, I was the one who handled all the chores, in the sense that I'd make a calendar for me and my siblings, and it's I was the one who made sure they actually did their chores, and it was kind of it was a huge pain. But the one that I had to the chores I had to do, it was the dishes, right? And my siblings, they were so messy and junky, and they would just use dishes. It was so annoying. And I made sure that kitchen was spotless. It was great. But ever since I moved from that place, I've been I'm never doing any dishes again. I haven't done the dishes in 2 or 3 years. So yeah, I'm I buy fucking plastic utensils, and I'm sure I could save money by not having that, but it's not happening, fam. I'm not doing the dishes ever again if I can help it. And if I do the dishes, it'll be at my own place, at my own apartment, where I don't have to clean up after anyone else.
You ever thought about getting a dishwasher?
Yeah, but the house I'm living in is old, so.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm telling you, dishwasher is heaven.
Yeah. I mean, okay, so the people I work for have a dishwasher, and honestly, yeah, that shit's amazing. But yes. I feel I feel the same way. I don't like washing dishes. I don't know. I guess it's because my mom used to make me do it all the time. I don't know. It's just one of those things. I don't know. I don't mind mopping. I don't mind sweeping. I don't even mind folding laundry. That shit can be super therapeutic sometimes. But dishes, ugh. And then your hands get all pruny, ugh. Anyhow, what about you, Puertorock? What's your least favorite chore?
Oh, that's easy. Yard work. I absolutely hate doing yard, because I bought a home 3 years ago. So I bought my first home with my wife, So we bought our first home when we came back from Japan. We both New Yorkers, because my wife is also from Brooklyn, New York, So we lived in an apartment. I'm pretty sure you guys could relate, city life and stuff. Mm-hmm. So we finally, got our home, and we're thinking we made it. The home with the white picket fence. This is great. This is just amazing. We're actually homeowners. And we didn't realize what it took to be a homeowner. So almost every other weekend, I'm out there mowing the lawn, weeding, doing this, doing that. And I'm looking back why am I doing this? I could have just lived in an apartment, and I could have just been chilling in the beach right now. Are we serious? I work 5 days a week, and then on a weekend, or every other weekend, I got to do more work when I could have it's just so frustrating. And I know grass is nature, and it just keeps growing. Just stop, slow down. You don't have to grow this fast. Mm-hmm. So it's a lot of work to be a homeowner. I know it feels great to be a homeowner. But when I look back, I'm thinking, just for me, like I said, I live here in North Carolina, so we got a home. But I think when I retire, I'm not gonna buy another home.
I know.
I'm gonna sell this.
Yeah, people try and own condos and stuff now because of that.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna just get a condo so I can still have the home ownership feeling without the yard work. Because I'd rather spend my Saturdays doing stuff. Like I could be in a, like last week I did yard work on a Saturday. Day was beautiful, and I'm looking at the sun. I'm like, I could be in the beach right now drinking a Corona, and I'm out here just mowing the lawn. I'm out here mowing the lawn. My wife is trimming the hedges, and we're looking at each other like, what are we doing here? Like, our daughter's 22 years old, so we don't have to raise. We don't have kids to raise.
Mm-hmm.
We could be doing better stuff than this right now. And she's like, yeah, we could be doing better stuff than this. And so that's what it is. Doing like yard work and housework is just so annoying and time consuming. And I feel it's taken away from my free time.
Yeah. I don't have a home, so I don't know what that's like. I don't have to like cut grass or anything. The only thing that I have to do is maybe like throw the garbage outside.
Yes.
Or not even outside, like down in the basement. That's where
yes.
So
exactly.
Like, city living. But everyone wants that dream, but they don't think about what comes with it,
Yeah.
So, but next question was actually given to us by Iceman. So thank you, Iceman, for this question. What would you do if someone gave away your phone number without permission? What would you do, Luca?
Well, our friendship would be over pretty much. Like, I don't play with that. That shit's not funny to me. Like, I am well known on Twitter for always arguing with people and getting into fights with people, but not much with. I don't get into fights with Xbox people anymore because they know better at this point. But like there's a lot of like PC guys and PlayStation guys that are always like trying to come for me, and I don't want to deal with any drama. Like, I've gotten a lot of really crazy messages, like people saying like just a lot of weirdo shit, like people just saying weird stuff, and if my number got out there, I would be like, if one of my friends gave out my number, like I would be extremely pissed, and I'd probably expose them too. Like, I usually try to keep my drama to myself. Like, if I'm having issues with a friend, I don't talk about it with anyone, and like no one in public needs to know that shit. But I'd probably just be like, yeah, I trust this person enough to give them my number, and only a few people have my number, and it's people I really trust, and they betrayed my trust by giving it out. Therefore, I'm gonna let everyone fucking know what a scumbag you are and not to trust this person. Like, I just don't play that shit. It's not cool. Like, trust and loyalty, those are things that are very important to me, and if you betray my trust in that way, then you're dead to me. Like, only like 5 or 6 people have my number, so I could narrow that shit down. I'll find out who did it. So, all right, yeah, but that's just me.
That's weird. I mean, like, I feel like people would sometimes do it as like a spiteful thing, but then like, what if someone was trying to do it to help you? Like, if someone was interested in you and they were like, oh, maybe you can call her.
I don't give a damn. I'm like, I don't fucking care. Like, just because someone may be interested in me doesn't mean I'm interested in them,
That's true.
And if I was interested in them, I would give them my number, if I wanted them to have it. Not the other way around. Don't give my shit out. Like, none of my friends have ever done that. Like, even the friends that I see on a day-to-day basis, because they fucking know better. They know better. And I've seen that happen before, where some of my friends, like, their friends will give out their number to like guys and stuff, and it's like, why did you give out my number? And they're like, well, he's cute, I thought you'd be interested. Like, no, fucking ask first. Don't give out someone's number, because just because a guy is cute and he's claiming he's interested in you, if you just meet him on the street, like, or in a club or something, you don't know this dude, you don't know this guy, so don't fucking be giving out people's numbers. Shit's not cool. Could be a psychopath or something.
Oh my god. So one day, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna be like, yo, Luca, so I love you, but like, I gave your number out, bye, and then like run away and see what happens.
Basically, what would happen is that I'd block your number, and then I would also tell everyone. I'd be like, yeah, Blue, don't watch her streams, don't support her shit.
That's
she gave
rude.
my shit out. What do you mean that's rude? Don't give out my fucking number, dude. Come on.
Oh my God. Yeah, I think that's like a really rude thing to do. What about you, Puertorock?
I'm the exact same way. I feel that the phone number is like personal.
Mm-hmm.
And if you provide that number, that's opening the door to that person to have direct contact with you. But that should be like an implied relationship. Like, hey, I'm giving you this number. Don't give some random. If that person was supposed to have my number, they would have it already. That's how I see it. So I think at the very least, even if it was like a high school friend or something, let me know. Be like, hey, bro, remember this dude we used to hang out with in high school? I'd be like, yeah. What about him? Oh yeah, he wants your number. I'd be like, oh hell no, don't give him my number. Why? He took my girlfriend away from me, and we fought. Remember? Why did I want to talk to him?
Oh
do
my
you
God.
not remember? Yeah, but that was last week, bro. Get over it. I'm like, no. I'm not getting over it. Why do I want to talk to a dude that, or things like that,
Yeah.
You just have the courtesy and just be like, hey, and it's not like you could do it like right on the spot. Like right on the spot, hey, hold on, let me find out. Hey, bro, I just met up with this person. He wants your number or she wants your number. Can I give it to them? Hell no. And they'll be like, okay, hey, he said hell no. And then that's it. It's in the story. Or yeah, sure, no doubt. Things like that. But I think it's a courtesy, That's like inviting a stranger to somebody else's house. Like if you invite me to your house and then when you open the door, you see me with some strange person, you're like, yeah, I just thought, I bring my boy over and you have no idea who this person is, I feel it's the same type of scenario. Like, I don't know this person. You're just going to invite him in? Like, what are you doing? So I feel it's the same way. People should just have the courtesy to at least ask, because it's not your number to give away.
Exactly.
But I'm the same way.
And I feel like that, like, hold 1 second. Also, that people fucking bringing people over that you don't know without giving you a heads up first, that's also not okay with me. Like, I'm like, who is this? What the fuck? Who is this bitch? Like, what the hell? Like, don't do that. All right, go ahead.
I don't understand why people feel so comfortable doing things like this. It's like, dude, what? You should be privileged to have my number. Like, you don't go around, if someone asks you, I don't give a fuck who they are. And also, don't come with the bullshit like, oh, but they said that they had it before and they lost it. Like, you don't know. Like, you don't know if I changed my number on purpose to get away from that person. Yeah. Like, ask a question. Just be like, hey, so, like, guys, is it okay if I do this? And most likely I'll say no, because like just tell that person to come to me and ask me for my number, and then I'll decide then and there if I'll like give it to them. I don't know. It's just one of those things. Like, and then plus like there's so many ways to contact people now that I don't really understand the whole like obsession with having someone's number, particularly when it comes to people that like you don't know that well. Let's say, for example, like that you met online and then you like talk for a couple of weeks and they're like, hey, can I have your number? It's like, you can contact me right now the same way if you have my number, whether you are on my Discord. Like, you can call people on Discord, you can call people via Skype now. Like, there's like so many ways to contact others that it's like, there's
also
no
on Google Hangouts too.
Yeah, Google Hangouts. On Twitter, the direct message is the same as like texting me, literally same exact thing. But yeah, I'm just saying, like, I don't understand. Don't give anyone's number out. Iceman, thank you for this question. I want you to come back and answer it. Let us know. Did you give someone's number out? Because yeah, we want to rip you to shreds if you did.
He's gonna be like, yeah, I actually gave out Luca's number.
Oh
Luca
my
Duca.
God. So next question is, what's the hardest thing you've ever done? Who wants to go first for this? Because it might be a hard question. I feel like for me personally, I mean, of course, the hardest thing I've ever done, it might be something different. But right now I'm just thinking about how when I have to tell someone that I love and care about that I did a huge mistake that might like really hurt them. I think that was the hardest thing I've ever had to do, because I don't like hurting people that I care about, but it's something that I couldn't like deny, and I fucked up, and I really hurt that person, and to this day I still feel bad about it, and I think the hardest thing is like admitting to someone that you hurt them, and there's no excuse for what you did, like there's no reason behind it. That shit was hard, and I hope I never have to do something like that again. You know. But yeah. What's the hardest thing you guys had to do?
Hardest thing for me was breaking up with my abusive ex.
Mm.
Uh, yeah, that was just rough because like I had become so ingrained in that relationship, and like I don't know, it was just hard. It was just hard. I mean, it was good for me, obviously, but it was hard to do because I just felt like I don't know that I needed them and that no one else would be interested in me or love me. So I like, I just put up with a lot of that shit. But if I was able to do it, and it was hard, but I was able to do it, like cut them out completely. So.
That's I'm proud of you for that. To be honest,
Oh my God,
it's like
Definitely that.
yeah, because it's scary.
Yeah.
You know, you don't know what's gonna happen. You don't know how the person's gonna react. I mean, that's a big deal when it comes to other people. You don't know how they're going to react, and so you don't know if it's worse for you to tell them or to do the action like leaving, or if it's better to like not deal with it at all. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially with you, Luca, because people die. People get murdered for things like that.
Yeah.
And so what some people don't understand is the emotional investment in a relationship. Emotions influence the mind. I mean, logically, when you look on the outside looking in, you could say, well, yeah, logically he's abusive, leave him. What's the big deal? But people don't understand emotions are more powerful than the mind. So it's literally a power that anchors you to that relationship, and it's really hard. If it was that easy, you wouldn't see that much abusive relationships around the world as you do. And some people sadly know how to manipulate a person's emotions and stuff like that. And it takes a lot of strength to really pull out of something like that. So yeah, I commend you, Luca, on that one, because it's one of the toughest things to have your mind conquer your emotions, which not many people are able to do. There are women who died in a relationship because they just couldn't conquer their emotion, even though their mind knows they're in a dangerous situation. It's
Yeah.
just that power. So definitely, that is definitely a strong act that you did.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Feel like it's yeah. And this is just something that when you think about, it's like you have to rack your brain sometimes, because sometimes a lot of people have had to do a lot of hard things. Um, but yeah, I'm glad that it's something that we can talk about. Anything else? Anyone else want to say?
Yeah, for me, so I've been through situations where I made mistakes and hurt people, and I had to own up to it. But I think out of anything, that the hardest thing I think to this day that I ever did in my life was the day I had to tell my parents back in 2003, and this was January. I still remember the month because to this day is still the hardest. It was a Saturday, in fact. I still remember the exact day is when I told them that, hey, mom, dad, it's happening. I'm going to war. That's when the war kicked off in Iraq. And that was the hardest thing because, like, yeah, I was a Marine. At that point, I was already a Marine for about 6 years, almost going on 7. And, like, I was prepared for it because that's what we do. We train for it. And my parents, when you know people in the military, you have an idea that they're there and they could possibly go to war, but it doesn't actually hit you until they tell you they're actually leaving to go. And that's when you're like, holy shit, my brother, my son, my daughter might not come back from this. So when I told them this and I saw how their face turned white, like they literally couldn't believe it's happening. I mean, it was like my dad was thinking of ways to try to get me out and stuff. Like I'm the only child, and I'm his only child. So technically, he could have went to his congressman and told him, "Hey, my son is my only child. He can't go to war." And by federal law, they technically could have prevented me from going to war because I'm the only name. So he technically had that. But I had to sit down and tell him like that. This is no different than like a fireman ready to go fight a fire. This is what we do. So I can't be, do what I do. And I have people depending on me because I have people that's under my charge and I'm their, immediate supervisor. I'm their leader. So to me, to bail out on them now, it just doesn't work that way. I have to go. And it was like a really hard conversation. I mean, a conversation lasted weeks all the way up until the day I left and stuff. But to this day, that was possibly the most hardest thing I ever had to do, to tell my parents that I'm deploying to war
Yeah.
and it's happening. And it was just a shock across my family.
Yeah. I'm sure. I mean, my family, I have family members that are, you know, in the service, and I feel like for them personally, I don't think the family understands why they do it.
Mhm.
We're not like the most patriotic people,
Mm.
but I think that now we kind of have accepted it, and whenever someone has to like go back, we kind of just like, we wish them the best, and we don't stress them out about anything. But I do know that my family holds, like, I mean, not me personally, but just like my grandmother and like everyone else just kind of resents it a little bit, because they're taken away from us so much, like they don't make it to a lot of the family events. We don't really get to see them as much. And I think that affects them, especially my grandmother, who always wants the family to be together, and kind of like be around one another. Them living so far and not being able to come through makes her, I can tell it makes her sad. But for the most part, I think she accepts that they want to be doing this, and that they're not doing anything bad, because she's very religious. But yeah, I think she's accepted it. And when we do see them, it's like a big deal. Like, we throw parties. I mean, you know how Latinos are. Everything's a party. So it's nice. It's been good. I feel very proud to have family members that are laying their lives on the line, but yeah, let's move on to our topic number 1. So our first topic is always the lighter topic, as you guys may know. This week it is quite interesting, because we will be talking about something that all of you may be going through. So topic number 1 is, if you have groups of friends that are very different, would you ever try to merge them? And so what we mean by that is that if you have this group of friends that are interested in one kind of thing, and then you have another group of friends that are completely opposite of that, would you try and let them meet one another? Like, would you try and do like a whole group thing and like, hey guys, be friends with each other, so I'm not being pulled in 2 different directions all the time? What do you think, Luca?
Well, I think a few months ago I would have been like, yeah, I think I should try to introduce all my friends to each other so we can all get along and all that stuff, despite how different the groups are. But now I'm just kind of like, I think I'll keep them separate. And the only reason I say that is like, I had something happen where I was hanging out a lot with one set of friends, right? And we were like just giant group, and we would talk and have fun. It was like maybe like 10 people in total, right? But I got into it with a few people in that group, and it kind of splintered all of us, and people felt like they had to choose sides, and it was like this huge thing, right? And after that, I was just kind of like, you know what? I'm going to make sure I have more than just one set of people to hang out with. Because if something goes left, then at least I can be like, well, at least I'm not alone. And I have people that I can go to that aren't involved, like that aren't personally involved in this group. And they can give me like objective opinions and advice on this. So with a couple of my friends, like if I'm really close with someone, I'll introduce them to my other friend groups, like the other people I'm close with. But for the most part, I would just keep them separate.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if I had that experience, I would feel the same way. Because, I don't know, in my experience, whenever I do try, because I'm the type of person that I can blend into different kinds of people. Like, I can be with people that are a little bit more, you know, street, and then I can be with people that are a little bit more like not street, and then I can be with people who are into games, and I can be with people who are into makeup, and I can be with people who are into, like, there's so many aspects of myself that it seems as though like I'm into a lot of things that are opposites of one another. Like, my makeup friends are not into gaming, and my gaming friends are not into makeup. And then I have, you know, people that don't feel comfortable being in the hood, but then, you know, I have friends that live in the hood. So it's like kind of turns into one of those things where it's like, if I try and introduce this friend to another friend, they won't get along because they have different experiences, you know? And it's weird because, I mean, I guess it's not weird because I understand that some people are not as they're not that deep, you know, they don't have like a whole lot of things that they're into. So it kind of makes it harder when you are that kind of person that find yourself in different kinds of cliques. But I don't know, I feel like in a perfect world, of course, like my friends would get along, everything would be great, we could have big ass parties, like it's fine. But I feel like it's stressful when you're that person because you have to make time for all these different kinds of people as opposed to just making time for one thing. So like if I am being invited on the same day by two different people to go do things, it becomes one of those things where it's like, you know, and then if you're busy all the other days, like, what are you gonna do? You know what I mean? But so far, I mean, I don't have that many friends, guys, let's be honest here. But I do have, like, my best friend, she's not into gaming, she's not into podcasts, she's not into anything that has to do with the things that I'm into, really, but we still get along. We're super cool. So when I try and explain to her, like, oh, yeah, my friend Luca is playing this game or we're doing this podcast, like, she'll be like, okay. Like, no comment. And I'm like, and she's like, well, how did you meet this Luca? I was like, well, I was, you know, listening to podcasts and I reached out to Foxy. And she's like, what? Who? Like, is that a name? And then I'm like, well, that, you know, that's her name online. And then she's like, okay, continue. And then I'm trying to explain to her, like, you know, like the podcast, the community, the gaming world. And she's just like, what's a podcast? And I'm like, girl, I can't even with you. Like, we're done here. Like, this is not going to go well if I can't explain things to you without you even understanding the basics. But I did tell her, like, you know, like, I do talk to these people, and she's like, but you've never met them, like, you only talk to them online. Like, she just doesn't understand. And it's funny, right? Because I tried to get her to like listen to the show and things like that, and she was like, well, I listened to 10 minutes and like, your show is long. I was like, okay. I was like, I mean, I guess.
You know what I do?
What?
If I'm talking about you guys, I use your actual names.
Really?
Like, yeah, I use your if I know what your name is, I'll use your actual name when I'm explaining things to my other friend because I don't want them being like, what? Who? What?
Well, Blue can be a real name, actually.
Yeah, it can be.
But I'm saying, like, I don't know. I feel like I was like, so our show is 2 hours. I mean, so like, yeah. And she's like, wait, that's long. And I'm like, she has no idea that there are shows that are like 4 hours long, literally, all the time. I don't know, but it's kind of funny, explaining things to her like this, and she's just like, I don't understand. But I feel like as long as, I mean, it sucks if your friends fight with each other. Like, that's no fun, you know? I wouldn't want to be put in that situation where you're in the middle and your friends are kind of like, I don't like that person, stop hanging out with them, you know?
Yeah, the only like downside to having like different groups of friends, it's like you were saying, it's like sometimes I'll be hanging out, like, because I just recently started hanging out with these guys I do a podcast with, REX Podcast, Tuesdays 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Just saying,
Hey.
I just started hanging out with them, and like with my other friend groups, you know, sometimes you're like, hey, are you gonna like come talk to us? And I try to make time for everyone. And I don't really like having to do, like, some of my friends have just been like, well, you spend a lot of time with them, or you're spending a lot of time with this person, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, let me live my life. I'll make time for you if you want me to. I got, there's there's enough Luca to go around. You know what I?
Oh God!
So,
Someone stop this woman, please.
you love me, so it's fine. But yeah,
Lord. I look. This has been going on all week. I keep trying to tell her that this is not a good look.
Yeah.
But
in truth, this is one of those topics where you have to know the personalities, because sometimes, kind of like your situation, Blue, your friend, sometimes you talk and didn't it feel like she's being a bit judgmental in a way?
Oh,
like,
yeah, for sure.
Like it's almost uncomfortable for something that is not really a big deal. It's okay to have different friends of different walks in life and different tastes and personalities. So yeah, I don't like to mix my friends. I know exactly, like you said, I have my gamer friends, and then like my element, I have my military friends. That's all about politics and the go-getters and physical fitness, and they look at gamers like they're lazy or whatever. Like when they look at me and they be like, "You're really a gamer?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like, "You have a YouTube channel?" I'm like, "Yeah." And they look at me like it's like they're like, "Yeah, but you're a Marine, bro." I'm like, "Bro, you know how many Marines are gamers?" They're like, "Yeah, but like we actually do stuff in life." I'm like, "What are you saying?" Like,
what does
you
that
got
mean?
doctors, yeah, like you got doctors and lawyers and people who have degrees that are gamers.
Hell yeah.
Like what? They're like, they think that we're nothing but fat slobs that eat Cheetos and drink Mountain Dew all day. And like,
For
no,
sure.
like it's a form of entertainment, no different than
a movie.
A movie, or you going to a concert. It's just our preferred form of entertainment is gaming, and not we may like music and movies and everything else, but this is just it's no different than sports. Some people pay thousands of dollars a year, and they track on who has the best batting average or who's throwing the most touchdowns, and they live off that. And they're like, "Yeah, but that's sports. That's like real shit." And I'm like, "What?" Like,
oh
what
my God.
Like, fantasy football, anyone?
Yeah,
fantasy real shit.
They're like, "Yeah, but that's like sports. That's like normal. Like you guys are like talking about like a toy." And I'm like, "Okay." Now
I try to talk to her too about like WWE.
Yeah.
Like wrestling and shit like that, and she like looks at me like I'm nuts. And I'm like, "Girl, like I know I love you, but you gotta stop that shit." Because honestly, bitch, like there are things that you do that I don't understand. So like, let's get real here. And she'll be like, "Yeah, but like, why do you watch that?" Oh my God. But yes, guys, I watch. I used to watch wrestling. Like, I don't know. I just feel like there's some stuff that I don't know. It's fun, and she doesn't understand. Right?
I mean, it's all entertainment. Yeah. But like I said, I don't mix the bag.
You don't mix your
because I know the personalities, and what I don't want is these personality clashes. And then also, you can also tell from the personalities, sometimes topics of religion and government comes up, and that's when it starts to get ugly. And I'm like, okay, we really going down the wrong road here, and it just naturally happens. So I just separated. I can appreciate my military community. I appreciate my gamer community. I appreciate the guys I know that are into fitness, guys who are into electronics, guys who are into movies and comic books. I appreciate all that, and I'm glad I'm a part of each community. But I don't try to merge them. Do it on your own. If you're a comic book guy and you want to meet with military people, don't go through me. You better figure that out home. Because if anything goes down,
you're not gonna be responsible.
I don't want to be the dude that they look at me. Whose side are you on?
Oh my God,
I'm gonna be like,
hilarious.
"Oh hell no, I'm Switzerland. I'm out of this. don't put me in."
You're like, "Nah, man. Nah, I'm not about that life."
Yeah, no, don't invite me to don't even include me in a group text. Like I'm bailing out. I'll block both of you. Like,
but Puertorock, I want to meet your military friends. No, I'm just kidding. No, but like, I tell her all the time. I don't even know if I should tell her that I started watching anime shows with people. Because,
oh gosh, she'd kill you.
Yo, she's gonna be like, "Who are you?"
It's not even worth it.
She's gonna be like, "What are you doing? Where's my friend who has a life?" I'm like, "Girl, like, because I don't drink and I don't really go out. I don't really do things like that. So I swear, she swears that I'm like a shut in, and I'm turning into this like person that like has no friends and just like sitting on my computer and type. Like, I'm gonna have to meet up with her one of these days. And let her know, like, okay, I'm alive, I'm fine, you see, like, it's all good.
Yeah, just all you gotta do is just your friends like her, just, you know, if you have lots of things in common, just worry about that. You don't have to explain anything else because they're not gonna get it. You know, they're not gonna get the podcasting, they're not gonna get gaming, they just won't get it, but they don't need to. You just enjoy your time with her for what you like about her, and then that's it. And then with the gamers, the podcasting, you enjoy your time with them. And that's what's great about having versatile friends. You don't get bored. You're not stuck in this one.
That's true. That is very true. Yeah.
That's what I like about the versatility. When I'm in the mood, you know, to get in the gym and stuff like that, I got my gym buddies. When I'm in the mood for gaming, podcasting, I got them. When I'm in the mood for sports, I got my friends that I could talk about. It's great to have diverse profile of your friends, but I never try to mix them. It's just not even worth it.
Yeah, I definitely agree. So if you feel like people that you know, you have different types of friends and you want to get them together, I would take into account the things that they're into and the kind of people that they are before you do that, because like honestly, you don't want a cat fight going on. Like you don't want people to start, and then because you're gonna get blamed, you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
They blame it on you at the end of the day because you're the one that tried to mix water and oil.
Yeah.
So you're the one that's, you know. And then they want you to choose, and you're like, bye.
Oh my God. Bye.
Yeah, there's like I have certain groups of friends where I'm like, yeah, I can't bring blue around them, can't bring blue around them or them. What? I'm just saying.
She's so worried because I'm the type of person that if someone says something offensive, like I will tell them like, dude, you need to chill. And so sometimes the people that she hangs out with already. I'm just kidding. I love you guys. But like she'll be like, oh, but they say things sometimes and like you're not gonna like it. And I'm like, girl, it's fine. I know how to handle myself.
That's the problem. I'm scared for them. Like,
oh. I thought you were scared for me.
No, I'm scared for them. I'm like, listen, guys, you don't want any of that. Like, you know, she'll fucking destroy your lives, basically. Like, bitch, what did you say? I'm like, oh God, I gotta go. Me and Blue gotta go, guys. Let's go. We're out of here.
She'll like end the party right before I get to finish my sentence. Like, it'll be like, what bitch? And then it's like gone. That is it. No, but guys, it's all in love. I'm just trying to spread the knowledge. That's it. So don't take anything I say personally. I'm just trying to help you.
I mean, if you could do it and get away with it, good on you. That's great. But from my experience, I think pretty much from all of our experiences, it usually doesn't work well.
Yeah, my friends.
You get into more trouble than.
But in a perfect world, it would work. You know, in a perfect world, my friends would get along and we could all hang out together. You know, but I don't know. Thus far, it hasn't been, you know, good. I've tried in the past. I've lost friends over things like this. Yeah. But you know, whatever. I will say though that if you do find yourself like with someone, if you try and get your friends together and your friends don't like each other and they try and make you choose, like that's not a good friend.
Facts.
Yeah, like I would never have my friend choose. Like if my friend's like, oh yeah, I'm talking to this person, right? And I'm like, okay, bye. Like I'll talk to you later. Like I'm not going to be like, oh, well, talk to me and not her or some bullshit like that when she tells me, oh, I'm going to hang out with this person and I know for a fact that that person's a bitch. I'm just be like, okay, have fun, you know? Cause, or I'll put up with someone sometimes if she wants to, because she tries to do like a birthday thing and all of her friends are there. Like, I'm not going to like not go, you know, what I look like, you know. So things
those are those universal get-togethers.
Where you have like neutral ground and you're just like minding my business in the corner, not talking to nobody. I'll be texting people like, hey. So
can I ask you something on this topic? Have you ever ran into a situation where you did connect to people and they ended up better friends than you, and now they're doing things and they're leaving you out?
Oh.
Have that ever happened to you guys or anything?
I don't.
You ever thought about that? How would you react to that?
In high school, I think so. It happened because, like, when I was in high school, I remember that this girl that I used to go to elementary school with, was transferred over for some reason, like randomly, and we were cool. We were best friends in elementary school. So I was like, "Hey, girl, But then I had different friends in high school, so I was like, oh, this is my friend, here, like, and it turns out she became super popular, and like we did not talk anymore because she would always spend time with like other people, and I was like, bitch, I brought you in this circle. How you gonna drop me? Like, what the fuck is this? And so like we didn't really talk anymore after that, which kind of sucked because I loved her, and that hurts, but oh well.
Oh, wait. Foxy's in the chat. She's like, oh, yeah, that happened with me and me with Blue and Luca. Because Fox introduced me and Blue.
Yeah,
and me and Blue hit it off like right away. And then now we talk all the time. We're doing a podcast together. And yeah.
Poor
but
Foxy.
She still cares.
That's crazy. Foxy's like, yeah,
she still cares
that
about
happened
us.
to me.
She's like, yeah, you hit it right. You hit it right on the head, Puertorock. Tivo says it happens to him too. That's
sorry,
interesting.
Foxy. I didn't mean to bring up bad blood.
You brought up.
Foxy's like, I gotta go. I
can't.
Like I can't deal with life right now. I gotta go.
Oh wow, Tivo says he takes all of my Gears of War friends. This is true. I introduced Tivo to a bunch of people that I met online to play Gears of War with, and it turns out that they stopped playing with me and started inviting Tivo only, and they still invite only Tivo. And yeah, it's full fucked up. And Tivo will play Gears with them and like not tell me about it, and I'm like, y'all motherfuckers need to get your shit together and like invite me to these fucking games because I will start slapping people.
Man, we should have listened to Chris Brown. These hoes ain't loyal.
Yo. I mean, damn, like, fuck. I don't know. I mean, I don't take it personally, but sometimes when I want to play Gears and I'm on the game and he gets an invite and I don't, I'll be like, yo, so who wants to hear in my mouth right now?
Just jump in the party uninvited.
I do that. And I'm like, so y'all are playing Gears without me? And the people are like, crickets. That's it. And I like,
you'd be like, oh, yeah. Like you offline. Like, no, I'm not. Oh, I think Xbox Live is messing up.
The excuses. But yeah, it's one of those things. What about you? Has that happened to you, Puertorock?
Well, no, like I said, I don't think
really
that's
do that.
No, because I don't introduce nobody to nobody.
What if they just meet though? Like, like if you're in the street walking with one and then you're like run into another, you're not gonna be like, I don't know that guy.
No, I'd just be like, mind your business, keep it moving. Nah, I'm just kidding. No, but I would say like in a party, like you said, sometimes I have like fight night. We watch a fight or the Super Bowl or maybe a birthday party, something like that.
Yeah.
And I would invite everybody. But what I noticed within the party, everybody got into their cliques. So like the gamers are like near my gaming room. You know, the jock guys are around the TV, looking at the sporting event.
Yeah.
I got friends that are into like how home fashion, so they're around with my wife. So everybody's in their clique, and I'm like, okay, this is. So I just jump. I just jump from group to group.
Yeah.
And I'm like exhausted, and sometimes after a couple of shots of Hennessy, I forget who I'm talking to. So I'm in the jock group talking about gaming, and they're looking at me like, I'm like, oh my bad, that's the other room. So I'm in the gaming room. I'm like, yo, the Giants are whooping ass, and they're like, we're not really watching the game, bro. I'm like, never mind, wrong group, and and I'm all hammered, and then at that point, everyone just universally makes fun of me because I'm like thrashed and stuff. God. So I guess that's the only thing they have in common. They all like to see me drunk, like all of them. I think that's the only thing they have in common.
That's hilarious. That's cool though that everyone like in the party still like it's not like a toxic environment, No. That everybody is able to like find their own, because. You don't want friends that are going to like fight each other. Like that's not, you want to at least have like sometimes where it's like, sometimes I can have like a party and invite everyone, as long as everyone's like in agreement that they know who they will get along with and not fuck around with other people. Like, I think that's fine.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the same with like any situation.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. I think my favorite group, like usually when I have those parties, is the dancing group, and mostly females because my wife's right. But those are the ones that everyone can relate to, because once the music comes on and they got a little bit of licking in them, that's it. They're the life of the party. They move the furniture, and that's it. The dance floor is open, and like for some reason, I think we call it everybody relates to that group. Like whether you're a gamer or a jock, whatever, everybody loves to see people dance and just bug out.
Have
and
a good time.
So that's my favorite group right there. I think that's like the universal.
Wait. Do you dance?
Yes, I do.
What?
Yeah, you know,
Okay.
I'm Boricua, so you know.
I mean, look, I've been meeting some Boricuas that don't dance, and I'm like, listen, come on.
Yeah, that's true. But I think the Boricuas are like, because like I said, my parents came from Puerto Rico, so I'm a first generation, family member that wasn't born in PR, but everybody came. So, and you know how Puerto Rican parents or people from the island, they always for some reason they put us through that dramatic scenario where we have to dance in front of everybody at every Christmas party. Like, look at my little son, he can dance salsa. Come over here. I'm like, Ma, I don't want to do it. They'd be like, come over here, or I'm gonna beat you with the belt. I'm like, okay, so I'm dancing.
Oh my god.
Hey, Ma, look at that. Look at me. I'm dancing salsa. Yay, everybody.
Pretend like you're having fun.
This obviously not gonna result in my mental health at some point in my life, but it's okay. Everybody cheer me on. But my mom told me how to dance, told me music and stuff, and then 90s reggae exploded. So that was amazing.
I'm half Puerto Rican, half Dominican, and
so is my wife.
So both sides I had to be a dancer. So I learned how to do all that shit.
Yeah, merengue. Oh man, and then bachata. I actually learned bachata from my wife because my family, they didn't do much bachata. They listened to merengue and salsa, cumbia, but not much bachata. So I didn't grow up on that music. But with my wife, she loves bachata, and then I learned to dance that. And I caught on real quick because I already knew how to dance, Latin music. Yeah. So, and I started loving bachata too.
I think salsa is the hardest.
Yes, by far, salsa is the hardest.
I'm like, Luca's listening to us
Yeah, I don't know what you guys are talking about. Like, wow, this is so interesting.
Luca in a Latin club,
I will show you some moves, Luca Boo.
Oh, okay.
When you get a Latin man grabbing you and spinning you around and moving his hips, you're gonna be like, whoa.
When Luca plans to do a visit, like a world Luca tour. So, when Luca comes to visit me, I will be bringing her to a club to dance with some Latinos, and we're gonna have a good time.
Like, damn.
Okay, sounds good.
You'll be like, damn, a dude can move his hips like that. You're gonna be like, whoa.
I didn't agree to this. Oh my god.
It's not the normal, 2 steps that you see in a hip hop club. You're gonna see some real dancing up in here. You're gonna be like, okay.
Some of it is a bit much though. Like they be gyrating their hips more than me.
Oh yeah. There's some dudes that could dance. I'm like,
all right, I'm not dancing with you because you're gonna make me look bad.
Woo. Yeah, some dudes are like, whoa.
Yeah. Oh gosh, we took this to a completely different space. So let's move on, people, because next topic is a good one. This is what some of you have been waiting for. It is Girl, Let Me Tell You, where we talk about and tell you the crazy stories that we have been going through this week. Who wants to go first? Let's see. I think I can go first this week.
Yes.
Girl, let me tell you. Of course, I was streaming. Of course. I know Luca's going to be like, yo, this chick always with the streaming stories.
But you live in your stream, though. I'm just saying.
Yeah, oh, by the way, guys, Luca has been coming through to these streams. I'm not even going to lie. So if you want some entertainment, come through and watch the little interactions we have. Because Luca be trying to troll me, but she don't know. She don't know.
What are you talking about?
Blue troll is the best troll.
Matter of fact, let me do my Girl, Let Me Tell You first. Girl, let me tell you.
You just hijacked my.
I did just hijack.
Oh, break up the bikinis let's go.
I go into Blue's stream chat to show her some love, and she takes literally everything I say out of context. I'm like, oh, Blue, I love you. I'm a huge fan. Well, I say a huge fan, and she's like, what? Did you just call me a fan of yours? I'm not a fan of yours, Luca. How dare you? Get out of here. I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ, dude. What the hell?
You want
just attacking me.
There's a clip to prove this nonsense.
Holy shit.
Someone clipped it. I will be tweeting that out, guys, later. Someone clipped it on Twitch, and I was like, "Why did you clip this?" Now she's gonna tell everybody about it.
Yo, like legit. I'm just like, damn. Okay, like I was just coming to show you some love, show a little support, say hi, and then she immediately is on the attack, and I'm like, I gotta go. I'm not dealing with this right now.
I'm sorry. I really thought you were calling me a fan of yours.
Why would I do? Oh God. Okay.
I just felt like, sometimes you come in and say things that are kind of mean to me, and then I'm like, they're crying on stream.
Listen, I don't say anything mean to you ever in your streams. I'm like, hey, how's it going? And you're like, yeah, okay, whatever. And I'm like, oh, right, oh, Blue, I love you. Or you love me too, right? You're like, what? I don't even know who you are. And I'm like, okay.
I'm sorry. I apologize, Luca, for that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, okay. Whatever.
I just get defensive because like you be trolling me sometimes.
I don't know what you're talking about, but all right.
Yo, anyway.
Well, Luca knows how to bring entertainment to almost anything. Like there's certain podcasts I would never watch unless I see certain people on it. So like when I've seen certain podcasts and it says with Luca, I'm like, oh, I gotta watch it because she's gonna bring the real and the raw, no matter what podcast it is. And that's what I love about listening to Luca. She doesn't care what the scenario, what your podcast is about. If she hears BS, stand by. You're gonna get this conversation. And then I just love it. So like there'll be podcasts I'm like, I don't even give a time of day. But if it says with special guests, TheAshenLuca, I'm like, yep, put it on my calendar.
That's awesome.
Nice.
That's awesome. Put it on my calendar because I'm gonna love it.
That's so cute. That's so nice. Aww.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's true. I guess maybe if you
what do you mean?
that sort of
what
thing.
do you mean? I get? Oh my God. See, she just can't ever admit that she likes listening to me and that she loves me. She just never wants to admit it. She's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I have a what did she say? I have excuse me, I have a life.
I
have a life.
I mean, somebody has to keep you grounded. Can we talk about that?
Okay. All right. Whatever.
Anyhow, since you hijacked my fucking girl, let me tell you, and I have to start over. Girl, let me tell you. Yesterday I was streaming. And like, first of all, I have a whole bunch of people that watch me that are very into anime, and they felt like it was fun to play a whole bunch of anime songs while I was playing Gears of War. Now, I don't know if you guys ever listen to like Japanese songs, but like they don't go well with Gears. Like it doesn't work. And I'm over here like I couldn't even play because that shit was so distracting. So I'm there, I'm trying to kill shit, and I'm like getting frustrated. So I'm cursing like crazy. All of a sudden, I get a text message from my mother, and she goes, "Hey, I'm watching your stream. Why do you curse so much?" I was like, "No, ¿por qué?" I was like, "Mommy, you don't need to be watching this. No, go away." And she's like, "Yeah, why? And why are they playing all this Japanese music? Tell them to throw some bachata in there." And I was like, "Oh my God." And then I told them, I was like, "Guys, my mom's watching the stream and she said that this music sucks. Can you please play some bachata?" And everybody started laughing and they were like, "No, this is awesome." And somebody before she said that to me played some ASAP or something, some hip hop rap shit. That was really bad. And so that started playing, and it was literally talking about like hopping on someone's D and like doing dirty things. And I was like, ugh, what's happening? We can't listen to this shit. Skip. And the guy was like, I regret putting that song now that I know that your mother's in here. I was like, dude, this is fucking embarrassing. I don't know. I didn't like that my mom was watching me play Gears and rage and curse. And like, yeah, that was weird to me. I was like, can you not watch anymore ever again? Thanks. But I don't think it's going to work. I think she actually enjoyed. She was like, "Yo, shout out your mom, the one that gave birth to you." I was like, "Oh my God, Mom." I was like, "Shout out to my mom that is watching me for some reason. I don't understand why." And she's like, "Haha." But she didn't have an account, so she wasn't chatting in the
Can you imagine if your mom was in there and I was like, "Oh, hi." If I was there, that'd be awesome, right?
No. That would be horrible. I don't know what's going on with yeah. So Mom, please, I don't even know if she's listening to this. Like, please don't like let me know if you're gonna be there first so that I can prepare myself maybe, and like don't surprise me. I don't like surprises. Just saying. Okay, love you. Bye. Yeah. So, girl. Yeah, that was weird. What's yours, Puertorock?
All right, so girl, let me tell you. All right, so
Yes.
there's things on Twitter that really don't trigger me a lot. All right, especially when it comes to gaming entertainment, because I just see that as entertainment. But one thing that annoys me is when I see topics of civil rights movement, real stuff, and every once in a while I get like a retweet. Right. So the other day I saw a retweet from a successful black American gentleman, a male, and he made I saw the retweet that said, "Why don't Jews or Japanese Americans claim the lingering effect, quote unquote, of the Holocaust or the relocation camps impedes their ability to succeed?" So this is pretty much a shot at his fellow Black Americans, who talk about all the things that impeded the African Americans of this country, the Black Americans of this country. And I'm thinking, like, and I see this trend where some people who become successful, they pretend that some of these issues don't exist. So like my reply was maybe because the Jews and the Japanese Americans didn't have consistent setbacks after these events happened. So like, for example, slavery officially became illegal in 1865, with the 13th Amendment. All right. But yet 100 years later, in 1964, it took a Civil Rights Act just to say Black people could drink from the same water fountain as white people. There's been a consistent attack on Black people. It seems like we have to come up with a new law because something new always comes up. The Japanese Americans and Jews didn't have to go through that. Yeah, they went through the Holocaust, and what happened after? They got their own country. Japanese Americans, they went through their stuff, and that was pretty much it. There wasn't a consistent, like something new where you needed a new Civil Rights Act or you needed a law in place. Most of our rights and laws are reactionary to prevent people from doing stuff. They weren't put in place to make our country look good. Be like, oh, we have these laws because we look good. No, it's because fellow Americans was doing the wrong thing and they had to put measures in place to make it illegal.
Yeah.
And people don't understand that. All these rights and civil rights, things against people with disability, things like even for women, yeah, you're allowed to vote. It's because things were put in place to prevent people from doing that. So they had to enact laws to punish. These Civil Rights Act movements and all that stuff are punishment for people who go against it. And people don't understand that. There's been a consistent attack on cultures and stuff like that because people will choose the wrong thing, even against service members. And people don't realize that. We have something called the Service Members Relief Act, to protect service members. And one of those, I give you an example, like in the 80s, early 80s and 90s, when we got orders to move from one state to another, obviously you live in an apartment with a lease, right?
Yes.
So the government tells you, hey, let's say I lived in New York and now the government tells me, hey, in 2 months, you got to go to California and live out there. So I'll be in New York. I'll tell the landlord, hey, I'm leaving in 2 months. Well, guess what? My lease is still a year long or there's still 6 to 8 months left. They're not going to break that contract. They're going to be like, you're still going to owe me 6 to 8 months rent because you can't break the lease because we didn't have no rights. That's what people were doing to service members. So service members out of their own pocket had to pay 6 months or 5 months, whatever's left, simply because they were doing their duty to their country. So the federal government created the Service Members Relief Act to talk about these issues. So the Service Members Relief Act isn't a favor like, oh, look, the U.S. government's taking care of their, members. No, it's punishment for those people who try to screw over service members, and that's what all these acts do. They're measures in place to punish those who try to hurt people. So when I see tweets like that,
happened already.
Yeah, it's a reactionary act. It's not it's not being proactive, it's reactive. You're hearing bad things happening to people, so they put these measures in place to stop it, So when I see tweets, from successful Black men, and maybe they didn't go through racism, which they're good. That is excellent. That's how it should be. But just because you personally didn't experience it doesn't mean other people are. Just because you personally wasn't held back doesn't mean people aren't being held back as well. You have to look at it, the picture holistically. Many of these acts and rights are put in place because they're reactionary to things that have been done to people and it's still happening. So they put something in place to punish those who try to use these measures. Like the home laws for equal opportunity in purchasing a home. There's a reason why the laws been put in place is because people didn't have equal opportunity to get a home. They were being profiled for their race, for their religion, for their gender, whatever.
Yep.
You know, so the law was put in place to punish those who continue to do that. And many people forgot what's going on, you know. And if we forget or if we pretend some of these issues don't never happen, they're going to repeat themselves, you know. That's it.
Like what
So
Tivo
that
says in
girl,
chat.
that's what triggers me.
Yeah. Like what Tivo says in chat about the police body cams. It's a reactionary measure. Like they decided to put them on because of the issues that we've been having so far with, like, you know, black people being killed by police officers.
Yeah. And even still with that, some police officers coincidentally has those cameras off. Oh, it's a malfunction. Oh, it's we didn't know it was off. You know, something, quote unquote, you know. And I think some states are including, you know, they're trying to put in policy that if it's not on camera, then the arrest don't count. You know, which I think is a good thing, because that, again, it's a reactionary situation to what the police are doing. So now, like, you could tell the police, if that camera's not on, then what you say won't hold up in court. And some states are trying to do that. Some states are trying to fight it because now they're saying, oh, you're tying the police hands, you know, their hands around their back. Like, no, we're making sure police do honest work. If you're a good cop and you're doing good things, just like the whole, well, you can answer these questions and, you know, you shouldn't be able to be afraid because you didn't do anything wrong. Well, the same thing should apply to police officers. If you're doing the right thing and you're following procedure, you shouldn't have to worry about the camera. That should be irrelevant, because how you conduct yourself is how you conduct yourself. Whether it's off camera or on, you should be good, you know?
Yeah, I agree. That was a good one. Wow. Very controversial though, that's for sure. Do you find yourself talking to people on Twitter about controversial topics a lot?
Not a lot. There's a few that really gets to me, because when I see tweets like that, for some reason, the internet, people just follow along. They see a nice, well thought out point, and people are like, yeah. Like, I'll give you another one that triggered me. Girl, let me tell you. This is number 2. Got another one. So I got another Twitter follower that I follow, a good friend of mine. His name is Rambo. And he made a tweet saying that he doesn't understand why Spanish people are the only culture that doesn't have to learn English when Russians, Italians, and everybody else have to learn in this country. And that got me. That triggered me, you know? And I told him, bro, I grew up in Brooklyn, New York. There are neighborhoods that the words aren't in English. I go through a section where the Russians are at. That's all you see. Even the menu is in Russian. Chinatown. Nothing English. Chinatown. Nothing American. They don't even talk it. You can't read the menu. That's it. And if you can't read it, then be out. You have no business there. And keep in mind, this is America. You know, same thing with Spanish neighborhoods. You know, same thing with Jewish. I told them in a Williamsburg section of Brooklyn, they have their own Section 8 housing, the Jews. Their own government housing for them. They own it. Wow. That whole neighborhood is lock, stock, theirs. The schools, the churches, the stores, all of them. It's everything Jew. The words, nothing. Even the street signs are in Hebrew. You know? And he's like, damn, I didn't know that. I'm like, exactly. You guys think because you see CNN and Twitter or whatever, you know it all. There's shit you don't know. You go to New York, you think you're in a different country. You swear you're not in America no more. That's how ethnic taking over some neighborhoods are hard. And it's all cultures. You know, you got Chinatown, you got Little Italy, you got Russians, you got Armenians in the Bronx that have their neighborhoods on lockdown. Everything's Armenian, you know? And you know it, because you're like, holy cow, I'm not in New York no more, you know? But people don't understand that. You know, they think it's just the Spanish people doing it. No, it's every culture. You know, that's it. Once they take over, it's their neighborhood. They lock it down. They do what they want.
Yeah.
But, you know, Spanish people get the brunt end of the argument, when in reality, all cultures are do that when they're right here.
Yeah.
You know, especially
I feel like
I don't get why someone would say that. I've had a lot of like I've heard a lot of people making comments about like, oh, she doesn't know how to speak English, or he doesn't know how to speak English, when, you know, they primarily speak Spanish, and they get shit for it, you know? So I don't understand why anyone would say that. I think people get shit for a lot of stuff, you know? Maybe it's not as prevalent in some areas than others, but it still happens, and trying to make a generalization like it doesn't is baffling to me. I don't get
Yeah.
that at all.
The way I see it, when people really want to talk about, civil rights or cultures, I think you have to expand your environment. You can't just go to the internet, because really 9 times out of 10 you're only going to gravitate to what you want to read, because the
Yep.
stuff you don't want to read about, you're going to ignore it and treat it as, a wrong opinion or wrong, you're not going to pay attention to somebody else's point of view, because that's not what you want. But when you actually go and experience the culture, when you go to these neighborhoods, you can't hide that truth. You see it for yourself, and that's why I told Rambo, if you go to New York, go to Chinatown, go to Little Italy, experience it, see for yourself, and you'll see that it's not just Spanish people who don't talk English or whatever. You'll see for yourself people stick to their culture because they're proud of it. It's not just, you'll see and live it and breathe it, and that will give you a different perspective on what's going on in this country. Just because you live in your area and you don't see it much, like if you live in Oklahoma or Texas or, or Idaho, whatever, and you don't see that diversity, go to the places where you see diversity and you see how people bring their culture and pretty much assimilate it into the United States. And you'll be like, holy cow, I didn't realize how so many people have their language as a basic, stance in this country. It's not just the Latinos. We're just the biggest group because, we're in the hemisphere, which primarily, Latino culture with South America, the Caribbean, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But when you go to these neighborhoods, you'll see for yourself, like, man, their people love, and I don't see anything wrong with that, because I think that's what the United States is about. It's all about being in this country and being proud of who you are without demeaning or attacking other people. And that's the main point people have to understand. Be proud of your culture, be proud of who you are. Just don't use it as an excuse or reason to say you're superior to other people.
Exactly.
You're just different, not superior. You're just different. And that's okay. And I think that's cool.
Yeah, I don't think that anyone should be bashing people based on their differences. Like we all, have our cultures, and that makes us great. Like if we're all the same, what fun is that?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that was a good one. Yeah, I liked it. I like topics like that, It's really interesting to hear other people thinking and talking about the things that I think and talk about, But yeah, for sure. Twitter is a toxic place sometimes, guys. Sometimes it's good to take a break from it and just like step back, because people can be ignorant, and sometimes it's exhausting to explain to every single person the situation,
Yeah.
But yeah, let's move on to our topic number 2. Of course, topic number 2, as you guys know, is a deeper topic. We get into it here. So if you feel that it gets too much for you and you need to move, step away and come back later, feel free. But this topic is PTSD. Now, if you guys don't know what PTSD is, PTSD stands for post-traumatic stress disorder. And oftentimes people experience PTSD after experiencing a traumatic event. And I feel that it's important for everyone to know about this, just because it's something that happens to a lot of people. And it's important to realize that while we often hear it with people who are in the service, it's also something that happens when people experience things, traumatic events like that we hear on the news, like murder or rape, for example, or things like that. But I did want to hear from you, Puertorock, and ask you what your experience with PTSD is, if you have any.
Yes. All right. So great topic. To just finish off what you're saying is true. PTSD comes in many forms. But when most people hear it, they think of the military instantly. You see it in the news, the VA scandals. You might personally know family members or friends from the military and they come back. So a lot of people attribute it. But believe it or not, in this country, PTSD from war is the third leading cause of PTSD. The number 2 cause, believe it or not, is sexual assault. There's more victims with PTSD due to sexual assault.
Yep.
rape, and then the number one, believe it or not, is actually vehicular accidents. That's the number one
Mm.
cause of PTSD in this country. Is
Mm.
vehicular accidents. It's a very traumatic scenario when somebody's inside. And some people may think, well, how could those two be higher than actually someone going to war? And while some people understand, people in the military, to as best as possible, we get training to try to deal with it. Emotionally get ready, mentally prepare, spiritually, physically. We
Mm-hmm.
constantly train for negotiating um, outcomes of war. To the best extent possible that we can. It's not a perfect system, but at least there's some level of training mentally, physically, and emotionally. We have systems in place to get ready for that. But there is no training for someone to experience rape. There's no practice. There's
Mm-hmm.
nothing. So that way, when it happens, you're prepared for it. There's no preparation for that.
Right.
And then there's no preparation for vehicular accidents. You don't like drive around in school and actually crash your car multiple times. So that way you can prepare for when the real thing happens. Uh, but as far as for me and my experience, I could say I'm one of the fortunate ones because I grew up with leaders that took care of me and they taught me not to treat mental weakness as a weakness or mental issues as a weakness. That is no different than breaking a leg. They taught me to be like, if you sprain your ankle, would you just suck it up and run 3 miles, or would you tell a doctor? I'm like, well, yeah, I'm gonna tell the medic. And
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, if you broke your arm or if you're out of breath, anything, would you have any issues going to medical? I'm like, no. So they're like, so why would you have an issue with your mind when
Right.
it's what's in the state of hurt? It's no
Mm-hmm.
different. So
Mm-hmm.
I grew up learning to take care of my mind, no different than my body and no different than my spirit.
Mm-hmm.
So PTSD, while I experienced it due to my two deployments to Iraq, I was able to better handle it. But I still have lingering issues. Even my wife tells me I do weird stuff in my sleep, or like if I'm in the bathroom, brushing my teeth, and I don't even notice some of the things. She says like sometimes you talk to yourself and you just do weird stuff, so she notices it,
Yeah.
and I don't even notice it. I'm like, did I really do that or whatever? She's like, yeah, you're kind of like, or when I'm driving, she stares at me driving. She says I like mumble to myself or I bite my tongue a lot, so she knows I'm thinking about something. So, but she's been very supportive with that. But I would say I'm more fortunate than others because I willingly went to medical for help. Some people in the military aren't like that. They grew up thinking that mental issues is a sign of weakness and that you won't be a good Marine. And those are the ones that hit the hardest because they hold it in and they hold it in and they don't tell nobody. And it's like it's something that grows. If you don't let it out and talk to the right people about it, it's a pain that just gets worse and worse. And that's where suicide comes into a big play.
Mm-hmm.
Suicide rates in the government in the military is extremely high. It is almost dangerously high levels,
Mm-hmm.
and that's just the reported cases and stuff. It's just insane, and it's this pain that just lingers with people, and it just gets worse over time. And a lot of people in the military are just too scared to seek help because they feel their fellow service members are going to judge them as weak, or you're not a good leader, you can't handle the pressures of war, you need to get out. And that's not true.
Mm-hmm.
That's not true at all. We all, brothers and sisters, we understand each of us have issues in one way or another. And sometimes it's not necessarily war, it's just constant deployments to other countries and constantly being away. I have friends that had PTSD, not so much PTSD, but mental health issues,
Mm-hmm.
simply because every time they deployed, it was during the birth of their child. So now they look at themselves as bad parents. I'm
Mm.
not there for my child, and that's a stress on them that they're constantly away from their kids. Or if their kids get in trouble, they start to thinking, is it because I'm not here, I'm not there? So there's all forms of mental health issues, but PTSD is probably the more prevalent one.
Mm-hmm.
Me personally, like I said, there's certain things I'm not comfortable talking to other people about specifically
Mm-hmm.
what caused my PTSD. I did that with the doctors or my fellow military members, but unfortunately, I have them to talk to and stuff, and I recognized my issue before it got worse. So for me, I was able to you could say deal with it, not in the sense of like just deal with it, in the sense of I was able to handle it. I was able to accept it,
Mm-hmm.
recognize my mental issues for what it is, and be able to address it. No different than a broken leg, or something. I addressed it. I got the help I needed, and I was open about it, and I'm able to manage it, on a day-to-day basis and stuff. There are certain things I can't control. Like I said, my wife sometimes notices me. I do weird stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't notice it, or there's stuff while I'm sleeping that I can't help, but I'm able to manage it and just do what I do day by day and stuff like that. And that's just my experience. But I have friends that have it much worse, and it's a scary situation on how emotionally they get drained. And sometimes you could just see it in their face. So for me, I try to do the best I can to recognize it and to help my brothers and sisters in the service realize, bro, girl, you can get hope. You're not weak. I'll go there with you if I have to.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's what it is. So that's a little bit of my experience with PTSD and what I went through and what
Right.
I've seen others go through.
So it's interesting because the stigma of mental health being making someone weak or something like that. It's real. Like people don't realize it, but it's one of those things where um, if someone believes that what they're feeling is something that's not real or something that's not important, then yeah, they won't go for help. And the problem of not going for help with PTSD is that it can overtake you. It can take over your life, and you can't function. Um, the some of the symptoms of PTSD include reliving, avoiding, increased arousal, and it's not arousal like the way you might think it is, but just like um difficulty falling asleep, like irritability, outbursts of anger, things like that. And honestly, like also it affects your mood. If you have like negative, you'll have like negative thoughts and things like that. So if you feel like that all the time and you have no way of helping yourself, then of course that leads down a rabbit hole. And I do feel that if you don't find help, that's why the cases of suicide are so high for people who don't get help for their PTSD. um I just want to say to everyone that if you do feel like I'm going to be linking an article. And so if you feel like if you have these symptoms based on anything, because it's not only just people that, you know, lay their lives on the line for their jobs. It's also people that may have gone through particular things. Like children also suffer from PTSD. And it's something that I feel that people should know about, and people might want to know how they can react to someone who may be going through that, or how they can like help themselves. Of course, we're not medical professionals, so it's important to find help from a medical professional, but it's important that it's something that we talk about. And I think that in the first place is the most important, that we're open about it, because most likely if someone's embarrassed by this or feels that they can't talk to you about it or anyone about it, then you won't know, that they're going through it. You can recognize some of the symptoms and maybe reach out to them, but you won't specifically know unless them themselves know. Some people don't know that they themselves have it. uh, Ignorance is definitely an issue when it comes to a lot of the mental health issues.
Yeah.
um, yeah, do you feel that have you ever had a situation where you knew someone who was going through it, and like they didn't know themselves, and maybe you asked them like, hey, have you ever thought about maybe you have this issue?
Actually, yeah. So that's one of the things. So I actually go through that a lot. So I'm a
Mm-hmm.
master sergeant in the Marine Corps.
Oh,
Um,
okay. So
so,
yeah.
so yeah, so I pay attention to a lot of junior Marines, and the younger generation is the ones that really don't notice it. Because
Yeah.
they only been in 3 4 years, 2 years,
Mm-hmm.
3 years, so they haven't been long enough to recognize that. So sometimes I look at the junior Marines and I talk to them, especially if they report in for the first time. There may be a sergeant or young sergeant or something, and then I just sit back and just watch them for a little while. And I ask them, hey, how many have you deployed? And they'll be like, yeah, my last unit I deployed to Afghanistan 3 times. And I'm like, oh yeah, and are you married? But like, yeah, I'm married. I got 2 kids, and I'm thinking, okay, so hey, we need to talk and sit down. And then I just ask them basic questions. I'd be like, how are you sleeping? Do you get a full night's sleep? And then they look at me like, well, why ask me that? Well, and I tell them, sometimes, not getting a good night's sleep could be just one sign of something. And they're like, well, yeah, I only get like 4 hours of sleep. And I'm like, you have nightmares? Do you have trouble doing your work? Do you always think about that? Having issues relating with your wife and stuff? And as more they say yes, yes, yes to these questions, I'll be like, have you ever thought that those deployments are impacting you in a way you don't see, and sometimes they don't realize it, that those times that they have in Afghanistan, the time spent away from their wife, what they done in Afghanistan, it followed back to them and they don't realize it. So yes, I see that a lot. I'd be like, hey, we need to talk to medical and stuff like that. And they try to fight it. They're like, no, I'm good. I'll just get more sleep. I'm like, it's not that easy. You're not gonna get more sleep just because you said so. You
Right.
and I tell them, just talk to somebody. You just give me the opportunity to allow you to talk to somebody. And then if that one conversation you're good, and they're like, all right. And when they talk to a medical professional, that's when it all comes out. And then they realize, like, holy cow, I never realized I had PTSD. They just never realized that's what it was. To them, they just thought it's just stress and that's it. It's just the daily vigors of being in the military. And some people attribute that. Some people think PTSD is normal because they just think it's just life in the military. And some people confuse, like, no, military life is stressful, but it's not this stressful where you can't get a good night's sleep, or you're having marital problems, or you can't relate to your children, or you're losing interest in some of the things you always enjoyed. You shouldn't be in that situation. That's something totally different.
Yeah. I feel like it's something that, especially because if you are younger and you are trying to, look a particular way in front of your superior, you don't want your superior to think that you are incapable of doing your job because of something that you can't control, that right itself, like that hurts your pride. And so your pride alone may stop you from going and asking for help. But the problem that people have to realize is that if you don't help yourself, you can't help other people. And
Yes.
in this particular situation that we're talking about, when you're in a position of, like, people depend on you when you are in the military or in any kind of service of that sort. Like, if you're a cop too, like, people depend on you. And so you cannot, for me, I feel like it's more important to think about, if you can't give your entire, like, your 100%, then you're doing a disservice not only to yourself but to others around you, because you're putting your life in jeopardy, and even more jeopardy, by not being able to, because PTSD is not something you can control. You don't know when an episode is going to hit you. You don't know what's going to trigger you. You don't know what you can't expect it, So if something happens when you're on the field, then that can easily cost someone's life or your life, and it's avoidable, you know.
Yeah.
And then if you're not on the field anymore, for example, because a lot of people deal with PTSD after they come back home, or after they are not doing the particular job anymore. Like, PTSD can happen years later after an event occurs. It 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 can lead to, like, depression, as we said before, and suicide. A lot of the time, because people feel isolated. They don't know who to talk to about these things. They don't know what they're going through specifically, and they don't look for someone to help them. And no one, most of the community, most of the world doesn't know about PTSD or recognize it, because, I mean, we're not trained, of course. So
Yeah.
if you don't know what someone's going through, you just think, oh, maybe they're just having an off day. Oh, that might have affected them, but, like, they're taking their time to get over it. And so you might be too late in realizing, oh, wow, this was a real problem, and I think it's important to recognize that if someone needs help, you have to, like, try and, I mean, of course, everyone is their own person, so they have to decide on their own. But if you can be there for someone and try and push them to get help, instead of, like, making them feel even worse about their issue, or making them feel like if you have a problem then you're weak or something like that, because a lot of people don't realize it, but when you think that way, it comes out in your language. It comes out when you speak
Yeah.
to that person. And so they're like, okay, this person thinks that if I reach out to them and tell them like I'm going through this, they're gonna think that I'm, weak and that I'm broken, and that's not something that everyone is willing to admit. But I do hope that if you are going through something like this, if you're going through PTSD, that you are getting help. And if you're not getting help, that this will actually push you to get help, because we want you to be healthy. We want you to live life and be happy. Don't feel that you are alone in this. It's definitely something, I mean, we're hearing it from Puertorock that he sees a lot all the time.
I have a question.
Go for it.
So like, what can you do if you can't afford to get help?
Like afford? What do you mean to afford to
like see a doctor?
Help?
Yeah.
To see help. I know I could probably do some research, but I know there's some free clinics. I don't know in areas because that's a hard, expensive term. But I know there's free clinics in places that able to support for victims. I know obviously the military, we have our free organizations that help military and PTSD. I know for some rape victims, there's free help for survivors of sexual assault. I'm not too sure about vehicular accidents and stuff like that. I'm more familiar with the military and also the sexual assault side of stuff. But at the very least, you could just try to Google it and stuff. And I know like PTSD is increasing awareness in this country, so I think there's more and more places that are opening up to help support PTSD. I think mental illness awareness is increasing overall, and there are people doing about it. There's organizations and charities are finally stepping up and doing something about it.
And if you have, go for it.
But I do know two of the main ones. The military has organizations, for help, and obviously our own medical coverage does that as well. But I also know for survivors of sexual assault, there's more free clinics and stuff like that to help those in need with PTSD and the aftermath of going through that traumatic event.
Yeah, and if you live in a place that provides, I know that some people don't necessarily fit the brackets for how much you make in your job and things like that. But if you do fit for the free health insurance that is provided for low-income families, they are definitely now starting to recognize mental health as an issue, and they added that into things that they cover. So that's something that you can do. And also there are groups online. Now, I can't vouch for if there are professionals in there that are volunteering to help and things like that, but there are groups online that you can join and reach out to, especially if there's someone that you feel is going through the same thing as you. That may help tremendously. I know that there are a lot of people that can't afford to go see a doctor or go to a therapist every week, but there's definitely other things that you can do to kind of help. I mean, I want to say help yourself, but someone else may be able to help you, someone else that is maybe going through the same thing and learned something. Also, there are books on ways that you like therapeutic things that you can do to help deal with the symptoms of PTSD or other mental health issues. I think that's important. Like, you can go to your library and look it up and read about it. It's there may be things that you read about and see and that you didn't know before, and that actually may help you. Like, for example, with me, with anxiety, when I spoke to other people about it and I actually read about it, there were different techniques that were suggested that I can try. And of course, not all of them worked for me. I mean, we're all different humans. Like, different things are going to work for us. But some of it helped. And some of it I still do to this day. And if it weren't for me, like, looking that up, I wouldn't have known, because the therapist that I went to go see didn't tell me about it, It doesn't, just because you go see a therapist doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to help you. But hopefully that helps someone out there. I feel like these topics are kind of tricky sometimes because you don't want to offend anybody, but at the same time you want to make sure that you mention everything. And of course, if we didn't mention something, definitely feel free to throw it down in the comments because we want to hear from everyone. We want to know even more information. And if we know more information, we can help someone else, you know?
Definitely.
So, yeah, I'm glad that we were able to talk about this. I'm glad that we can talk about the hard topics, even with the stigma that comes with them, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But let's move on to our next segment. This is Fuck That Shit, where we tell you the things that we hate sometimes. Well, all the time, actually, to be honest. My Fuck That Shit for the week is, yo, if I am ordering food, please, for the life, please, don't get that shit wrong. Like, fuck that shit when people write down your order. Like, when people, you go and you order your food and then they just do a completely different thing. Like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? If I order a cheeseburger with no lettuce, no tomato, no pickles, why are you putting all that shit on my burger? Please. And then I asked you for cheese and you forget to put the cheese. Like, I see you writing this down. Like, what is going on here? The same place I go to all the time, I order the same thing for like ever, and they still don't get it right. So I just.
Why do you keep going there?
I don't know. I mean, there's not a lot of options where. I mean, it's pretty good, but like, there's not a lot of options where I am. That's one of the issues, and like a lot of the stuff that's around me is like shit, like junk shit. Like the hood doesn't have a lot of healthy places, which is a whole nother topic that we can get into. And like most of the time I don't have time to cook. Like I go to work, I run home, I eat really fast, I start streaming, or I eat really fast, I'll start doing like the stuff that I have to do for, you know, so like at this point right now I'm trying to eat healthier, but at the same time I'm trying to save time. So like I'll get like a grilled chicken wrap or something like that. And like, what the fuck? How do you not know how to cook chicken? I mean, chicken is the easiest thing to cook. You just make sure it's on there long enough, and it doesn't even take that long. Like, you just make sure that it's there long enough, and it's cooked. No, my shit be coming out chewy. And what the hell are you doing? Are you trying to kill me, sir? Like, I go in there, and I'm like, hi. I try and be all nice. I'm like, can you please make sure, you know? And I have him repeat it to me to make sure that he got it right. And somehow it still gets fucked up. Like, what are you doing? Please get my order right. Please. All right. I would like to enjoy my food. I don't know about you, but when I get my food and it's not the way I want it, I don't want to eat it anymore. Like, it's just not. No. Luckily for me, if I get like I don't know, I barely get a cheeseburger, but if I get like a turkey burger and they put that stuff, I can just take it off, you know. But if the meat is not cooked, like, come on, like, who's really gonna eat that and be like, oh yeah, this is amazing? Oh, no.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'll have to one day talk to them. But I'm just afraid of them like spitting in my food or something.
Yeah,
that's a real thing.
You have to be careful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a delicate thing to tell people they're not doing their job. They're like, okay, we'll cook it the way you like it.
Oh my God. Ew.
and then at that point, you're just like, never mind. You just can't go back there no more.
I know. I've been trying to take a break from the place too, and then like I'll come back and I'll be like, hi. Can I say it slowly for him? Can I please have a grilled chicken? Well done. Like, I'll put emphasis. Well done. No, I think they just don't give a fuck.
They probably don't. Probably making like $2 an hour or something. I wouldn't care either.
They're like, girl, you better cook this shit yourself.
Cook this shit yourself, fam.
Like, do we look like Burger King? All right, this is the same Burger King.
Well done.
You can't have it your way.
Oh my God, I can't have it my way. But yeah, I can. Sometimes they get it right, and that shit is delicious. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. But like, honestly, guys, get it together. Anyway.
Maybe it's the cook too. Maybe
he's probably the one that's not listening.
Yeah. So you gotta find the one, like, on the days that the food is delicious. Just like, when does this guy work? You know, because then those are. I mean, it sounds sad, but sometimes some cooks cook food better than the others.
Yeah.
You know, and those are the days you're like, man, this food is delicious. But then other days you're like, man, this food is trash. Like, what's going on?
Exactly.
It's the cook.
Oh God, they're gonna have to fire that guy. Because they still do that whole thing where they yell out the order to the cook, and I'm like, well, why don't you just give him the paper? You know, wouldn't that be smarter? Just like, here you go, sir. This is what you got to make. And then he can keep looking at it. Like, are they afraid that he's going to drop the paper in the fries or something?
Oh, like eating a grilled chicken with the very paper they wrote on.
That's disgusting. But what's your fuck that shit this week, guys?
My fuck that shit, and it's not even just this week. It's like it will be a lifelong thing. I don't know why, but it's the damn phone calls I get from the same people who are trying to renew my car.
Oh my god, yes.
I cannot stand. These phone calls got me to the point where I treat phone numbers different. Like I used to answer, like if it was a random number that I didn't know, I would answer and say hello. I'm not like that no more. If I see a number I don't recognize, I don't answer it. I just hang up, and I tell people. Like I tell everyone, if you call me from a different number, you better leave a message.
Yeah.
Because if there is no voicemail, one, I'm not gonna answer it. So you better hope you're not dying. Because I'm not picking it up. I'm not picking up a number I don't recognize. That's number one. If they leave a message, I'll listen to it. Because if it's a person I know, then I'll call back. Because they could be calling from a different number. Maybe their phone died. So that's cool. If you don't leave a message, I'm blocking that number. Instant block. Because it's been repeatedly. Now it's down to maybe 2 a week. But before it was like 20 to 25 phone calls per week.
Yeah,
I was getting it from the people saying, "Hey, your vehicle warranty service has been expired. You're in danger of losing things." And it was a car I didn't even own anymore. I'm like, I don't own this car. And I would explain to them, I don't own this car. And they're like, "Okay, we'll take you off the list." I'm like, "Cool, thank you." 2 hours later, "Hey, your car is, your Ultima is about." I'm like, "We just talked about this 2 hours ago." So now, any number I see that I don't recognize, I don't answer it. In fact, I just hang up. I wait for a voicemail. If I don't see a voicemail, boop, block. That's it. Over.
Yeah.
So I tell my friends and family, "Hey, if you're gonna call me from a different number, leave a voicemail, because I'm not gonna pick it up. And if you don't leave a voicemail telling me who you are and why you called me, I'm blocking the number."
Yeah, man.
I'm just doing it. I just can't stand. It's unbearable. So fuck that shit. And if you're listening to this podcast and you're one of those people, don't call me.
You're like, stop.
I don't want your warranty. All right. I bought a new car 2 years ago. I have 6 years. They're calling me for that. I'm like, the car's only 2 years old. Like, what are you guys doing? Like, leave me alone. Blocked. So yeah, that's my
shit's so annoying. What the fuck? Like, I don't have a car. I've been getting calls about like stupid shit, like, "You won this vacation," and I'm like, "Bitch, I know this shit ain't real. What do you mean?" Yeah. And then it's bots. It's not even like real people. Lord, I've been having to block numbers. So like I must have 1,000 numbers blocked at this point. Yes. And it's every single day different numbers.
Haven't called me back. I get that now.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Every single day, different numbers. Like, I'm just, like, so sick of it. It's so annoying. Especially because, like, no one really calls me. And so my phone rings. I'm like, ooh. And then it's, like, a fucking, call that's not even, like, important. I'm like, fuck. I'm such a loser.
Yeah. Oh, that's
just
cute.
Kidding. No, but, like, yeah. What's your fuck that shit this week?
Well, mine is, listen. Okay, so I have a high-pitched voice, obviously, right? And I also have a baby face. So I look like I'm under 18. I look like I'm like maybe 15 or 16, right?
Lord.
Tell me why old-ass men, like 50 plus, right, think it's okay to talk to me.
Ooh.
I'm just minding my... I know, right? Yo, like, it's happened so many times. My friends think I'm fucking exaggerating at this point. They're like, "No, Luca, you're lying. You're lying. That didn't happen." I'm just minding my whole ass business, right? Going through the alcohol section, just trying to find me something good to get a little drink on. I had just gotten done working out. I'm like, yeah, I think I'll just, a little sippy sip. It'll be all good. I'm listening to some rock music. I don't expect anyone to talk to me. I look a hot mess, right? Like, I'm sweating. I'm gross. My hair is up. I'm wearing some raggedy shorts. Tell me why there's... Oh my God. Like, some dude he's like, hey, hello, miss, hello? Like, just trying to get my attention, right? And finally, I see him, like, waving in my face. I'm like, bruh. And I take my headphone out. I'm like, what's up? And he's like, oh, like, I was just wondering. He asked me, he's like, do you know if this store has, like, this or something, right? I don't remember what he was asking for. And I'm sitting here looking at this guy, like, do I look like an employee of this store? Why are you talking to me? I know why you're talking to me. You're talking to me for a reason. Then he just goes on. He like proceeds to tell me about his life, and I'm like standing there like, yo. But like, okay, I don't care though. And then he ends the conversation with saying something like, "Oh yeah, this is probably why I don't have a girlfriend because of this and this and this." I'm like, no, you probably don't have a girlfriend because you're fucking annoying and you're an idiot and you think it's okay to randomly talk to people. Just like, what are you doing, fam, sir? What are you doing? Do not talk to me in public. I don't want to talk to anyone, okay? Like, I will be kind and polite when I'm at a store and I'm like talking to the cashier or to like the fast food workers or any of that, right? But if I'm like standing around in public looking at something, trying to buy something, minding my business with my resting bitch face on, don't fucking come over here and try to talk to me or hit on me. I don't want to go out with you. If you're over the age of like 72, I don't want to date you, okay?
Ew.
First of all,
Grandpa.
like, it's just not happening, fam. Like, just leave me alone. Leave me alone, please.
Do they say, "Hey, young lady"?
Yes, they
Ew,
do that.
what the
Yeah, I know. Like, they do that. They come over here like, hey, how's it going?
Ew.
Like, can I get your number? I'm like, yo, I don't
What
even
the
know.
fuck? Yo, don't you have a grandchild to talk to? Like,
Basically,
go
a
be a
great
grandpa?
grandchild.
Like,
Yo,
what the
fam.
fuck?
Like, I don't get that, man. And I get like hit on by super old men all the time. And my friends are like, no, you're just kidding. You're lying. This doesn't happen. I'm like, it is happening. First of all, I'm always like kind of like scratching my head and like rubbing my chin whenever someone does express any interest in me because I look like a fucking child. So I'm like, you know what? I'm not sure why you're interested in me, fam. Shit seems a bit suspect, but okay. So that's my fuck that shit.
Wow. That's okay. Well, listen, grandpas, Luca is not interested in yo old asses, so let's keep it moving. Public service announcement.
Like facts.
That's weird.
Yeah.
I feel like there's so much wrong with that situation. Anyway, yeah, I'm sorry you have to go through that.
I just don't want anyone talking to me in the street, especially because I look so young. So I don't want people like trying to talk to me or take advantage of me, you know, because it makes me like think about all the other like actual kids they may be trying to talk to.
Yeah.
You get what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
Oh god. Anyway, that was your fuck that shit for the week. And yeah, I I hope these grandpas learn their lesson from now on. Lord, I can't. All right, let's move on to our next segment. This is But Why Though, where we tell you some interesting things that might make you laugh, might not. Depends on how you feel. I think I'll go first because it has to do with Luca's. So I've been working in the same area for about 5-6 years now. And every time I pass a particular corner when I'm walking to the building that I work at, there is a guy that sells newspapers. And yes, he's an old man. And every single time I pass by, the same exact shit happens where he's just super creepy. And he's like, "Hi, good morning, buenos dias." And I'm like, dude, get away from me. Like, no. He's like 70 years old. He walks with a cane.
He walks with a cane.
Yes, he fucking walks with a cane. He sells newspapers for 50 cents. And I'm like, no, I'm not. It's been 6 years. I've never said good morning to you. Why do you keep doing this? Like, move on, sir. There are other people around here. Right? And so, like, he'll whisper in my ear. He'll fucking...
How is he whispering in your ear? What are you talking about?
Lady, I walk by, he'll reach over and, like, put his head close to mine and be like, "Hi, good morning." I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, I have to move away, literally, from him because, like, the block that I walk on is not that big because the train station steps are there. So I have to, like, walk by him. And sometimes someone will walk on my left side. I'm walking the opposite direction on the right side, and he's usually on the right side. Well, no, he changes side sometimes, but he'll be on the right side next to the steps of the stairs, so I don't have any place to go. So all he has to do is lean over, and he's right in my ear, literally. So he'll be like, "Hi, good morning," and I'm like, "Get the fuck out of here with your hot breath." So, like, literally 5 years, same shit. Like, he'll step in front of me, you know, and he'll try and, like, stop me in my tracks and be like, hey, good morning. I go around his ass. I ignore him every single time. I've literally been taking a different way to avoid his weird ass. Like, and I see him do it to other women. And I'm like, this motherfucker. Like, and lately I've been giving him, like, a death stare. And so he's been not doing it as much. But I'm a nanny and I walk by the same block sometimes with the kids. And so instead of saying hi to me, he'll be trying to say hi to the kids. And she's 2. She walks on her own. So he'll look at her and he'll be like, oh, hi, good morning, little sweetheart, or some shit. And I'm like, looking at him like, are you fucking serious, dude? And then she doesn't say anything to him. So I'm like, yeah, she's learning.
Oh,
Teaching them young to ignore these fucking creeps. No, but seriously, like, that guy is annoying as fuck. One day, I feel like if he gets me when I'm in a bad mood, I'm just going to curse him out. I don't know how I haven't done it yet. Like, in the morning, I don't want to be bothered. I listen to my music. Like, I just, leave me alone, please, you know?
Yeah.
Don't say good morning to people who have headphones on, too. What the fuck is wrong with you? They can't hear you. I have big-ass headphones, like, on my head. Stop trying to say good morning to me. I'm busy, motherfucker.
Do they grab your headphones and pull it out?
Oh, my God, if somebody tries.
Like, what are you doing?
My God, if somebody tries, they will get knocked the fuck out. No, I don't like that. Anyway.
My but why though? Well, this is fun. So on Friday I went out with like some of my friends, right? And I have to take the train to like meet up with them. I love taking the train. Something always crazy happens and I love it. So I was sitting there texting my friend telling her because she was all like, turn on your Snapchat location so I can track you, which, you know, is another story entirely. I know, another story entirely. But I'm just sitting here trying to figure out how to turn it on. And this guy next to me like starts yelling at this other guy in front of him because the guy like bumped into him. So he's like, what the fuck you think you doing bumping into me? Your ass was in my face. I don't know what the fuck you thought this was. And I'm sitting there like, yo, it's not that serious, fam. And he's just like cursing him out. And the guy's just staring at him, like not saying anything. He's kind of smiling like, wow, I can't believe this. And then the guy's finally just like, he's like, you know what? Get off the train. Step outside. We're going to have a conversation. Let's have a conversation. Like, get off the train. And I'm sitting here like, yo, it's really not that serious. And okay, so he keeps reaching into his bag. And I'm kind of worried. I'm like, yo, is this Joker going to pull out like a knife or a gun or whatever? And mind you, I'm sitting like right next to him. And I'm just like, okay. And then like, you know, he pulls out a fucking flip phone, which, okay. And he like dials a number and he calls his friends and like he's just like, yeah, meet me at the stop, we're gonna like kick this dude's ass, like we're gonna teach him a lesson. I'm like, yo, just because he bumped into you, like, really? Okay. And then like the guy just doesn't say anything, and then eventually it just gets to a point where the guy he's threatening just gets off the train. He's probably like, yeah, I'm not dealing with that shit. And the guy like who's still yelling just fucking like legit pulls out alcohol and just starts drinking. And I'm like looking at him like, really? But like, really? But like, why though? Like, why are you doing this? Why are you like this? You know? And then like it gets to a point where he thinks the other guy's like telling the conductor or whatever about what's happening. And so the conductor comes back here and the dude immediately starts like trying to backtrack, like, oh, that guy went to you, didn't he? Well, he did all this, didn't he? And the conductor just like raises his hands and does like a stop motion. And the dude immediately stops talking. And then like the conductor's like, enough. Like, I'm just coming back here to get something. He's like, oh, okay, yes, sir. He's like, stop, okay? Just whatever you're doing, stop. He's like, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. Sir, how does one talk so much shit and yet not be about it? Like, I don't understand. Like, I genuinely don't understand.
Ooh,
all of that was so unnecessary. And I'm like, I was just like laughing. And my friend was like, why didn't you like get out of that situation? I'm like, listen, I've been taking the train long enough to just be like, yeah, this, like, I don't even feel anything about it. It's just like something that happens, you know? It's just something that happens. Just something you see.
Yeah.
So that's my but why though.
Well,
yeah.
People are interesting on the train. I don't understand what it is about them. And people are interesting when they drink too. Like, yo, that alcohol gives people some courage.
Yeah.
Yes. Especially when you mix alcohol and the train.
Oh,
that's when it really gets stupid.
Who drinks on the train like that though? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I don't know.
Poor
that's
guy.
just the vibe. I know. I some people like kind of like what Lucas said. They make a big deal, like you like especially in the clubs, this is what annoys me now. Like people get bumped on the dance floor and they want to make a big issue. And I'm like, you're on the dance floor. Someone's gonna run into you.
Yeah.
That's gonna happen. The place is packed. There's barely any leg room. Like, and why are you like? Didn't you come out for a good time? So why you want to start some shit? And the funny thing is, 9 times out of 10, some of those people that start shit are the ones that get lumped up. So like you started something for no reason, just to get your ass kicked. Like you could just be like, oh my bad, and then that's it. Continue with your friends, continue drinking, and enjoy the rest of the night. Instead, you're trying to show off. You get lumped up.
Now you're gonna get embarrassed.
Yeah, and now you're embarrassed, and your night's ruined. While the other guy's gonna talk stories about, I seen this dumbass who started some shit, and I whooped his ass. Like, and for what? It's just, because you're getting bumped. If you don't like being bumped, then don't go to places. That is naturally going to happen. And clubs is like the #1 place where people are going to physically end up interacting with each other. Because especially if it's a popping club, you're going to bump into somebody. It's just happening. And don't bring your drink to the dance floor and then get pissed off that it's spilled. Like, no. go to the bar, go to your table, drink there. But when you go to the dance floor, dance. Don't bring your drink and now you're pissed off that somebody bumped into you and you spilled your drink all over you. No, you caused that.
Yeah.
You're the moron that did that. Not them. They're just dancing. Like, stop it.
That's funny. People are interesting, But I mean, I guess that's kind of why I kind of like, I don't know. People, to me, do lots of weird ass fucking shit, and I don't want to be around when weird ass fucking shit happens. So like, I'll just be like, all right, bye. Like, I don't know. I try and avoid things like that, to be honest, because like, if I get set off, like, it's not one of those things that I can just like calm down and be like, all right, I'm calm. Like, no, like once it happens, that's it. It's a fucking domino effect. Like, that's it. It's taking over the fucking like, you're done. This is not happening.
Yeah, she's pretty scary.
Oh yeah, I'm the nicest person in the world. Yeah, I can't. I'm sorry. I can't. So listen, next time, okay? Just like, can you go to a different cart or something? For me?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Okay.
I was actually concerned. Okay.
Oh really? Oh my god.
Yes, I don't fucking trust drunk people on the train at night.
Yeah.
The fuck?
Well, I mean, it was like 4:00 in the afternoon, fam.
Oh my
like,
God.
what
the fuck is this guy doing?
Like, I don't know. But like, it's like there are certain train lines, like the green line, the blue line, and the red line. Those are the lines that you look out for because there's always going to be some suspect stuff happening. So I was prepared mentally and stuff. So.
Yeah, and just ugh. Anyway, what's your but why though, Puertorock?
But why though? I don't know. I don't think I have one right now. My mind's running through blank, especially when we're talking about the drinking. I think that would have been mine.
Yeah, I think you went into your
club. I already answered it. Like, but why would you go on a dance floor with a drink and then get pissed off when somebody bumps into you and spills it?
Have you ever gotten into a fight in a club?
Oh my girl, let me tell you. let me tell you. I'm gonna tell you the most interesting story, and it's actually my wife.
Nice, let's go.
So my wife is half Puerto Rican, half Dominican, and I love her to death. Mm-hmm. All right, she's the one where if I'm fighting a dude and I tell her, babe, stand back, don't get hurt, then all of a sudden she's on top of the dude, slamming him with like something with her shoe, and I'm like, when I'm looking at like, what are you doing? She's not that type of girl to just let me fight on my own.
I need to meet this one.
So she's a firecracker. So this was a couple of years ago. We were visiting New York with our family, and her best friend was living out there before she moved to Florida. So her best friend had a new position. She worked for American Airlines, and she received this big supervisor promotion. So all the family, and friends came out, and we went out clubbing together. And her friends and her coworkers went there too. So we're in this little nice club in Queens. We're all together.
Ooh,
well, on the dance floor, so my wife's best friend is Hokamaya. We're going to call her Tanya, right? So Tanya's friend got hurt on the dance floor. She sprained her ankle or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. So they carried her over to like one of the VIP booths until the ambulance came because she really messed up her ankles and nobody knows how, but she really messed it up, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm on the other side of the club, and in the middle of the club is this big square bar. So picture a big square bar, real long, maybe like 20 by 10, real huge bar. So I'm on the other side of the bar, and me and my sister-in-law, we look on the other side of the booth, and we see, my wife, her friend Tanya, some friends surrounding this booth, and the girl's laying on there. Now, I don't know what was happening, but apparently, and I learned this after the fact, a guy bought that booth because that was a VIP booth, and he's mad that all these people are around it, right? So what was happening, I couldn't see it. All I saw was a commotion, but I'm thinking, everybody's nosy. They want to know what happened to the girl. That's my perception. But what was actually happening is my wife and Tanya were arguing with this dude who's sitting down, and they're trying to explain to him, they're going to get out of their way. They're just waiting for the ambulance to pick up this girl. So apparently he said, fuck this bitch. I don't give a shit. Get this hoe out of my booth.
Oh my God.
So that pissed off my wife. So now picture this. So I'm on the other side of the club. I'm looking. I have no idea this conversation is happening. All of a sudden, my wife grabs the table and like tilts it to where the edge of the table on the other side goes on his throat. Oh. So she like lifted it and pinned him on the throat, and she put her body weight on the edge of the table. So now this guy's stuck, and I'm looking like, what the fuck is she doing? So while the table is on his throat and he's stuck in the chair, she's punching him in the face. And I'm like, holy shit. So I just stood up and had to run around this bar, and I just lifted up my wife and grabbed her, and we just left the club. And I'm looking at her like, what is she? And she's like cursing that out. I'm like, what the fuck happened? I'm like, this girl just hurt her leg. What are we doing here? He's just punching some random dude. Like, the dude had the table on his throat, and he's getting lit up. His face is lit up. And I talked to my wife, like, what are you doing? Then she explained to me, and I'm like, so you thought it was a good idea to choke the dude out and punch him? He's like, fuck that dude. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, what is wrong with you? So that's my wife in a nutshell.
Oh,
like, in a nutshell.
She
like,
sounds
just,
Yeah,
amazing.
she does.
Oh my god, yo. So like all my, her Komai's friends from coworker, they like got her number. Like, we will go anywhere with you any time of the day because you are down. Like, she did not play. Like, she didn't really know the girl, but in her mind, if you're Tanya's friend, then you're my friend. And when the dude called her a hoe, get this hoe off the table, nah, instant reaction. She just lifted up the table, like tilted it on his neck. He's being choked out, and she just straight welling on his face.
That's fucking crazy.
She has no chill when it comes to a fight.
I love it.
None whatsoever.
I don't even know her yet, and I love it.
None. It's just like, just with her alone, I've been through maybe 7 club fights for her.
Oh
She
man.
has no.
Perhaps you guys should not go to clubs anymore.
No, we still go, but we go to the Latin clubs. It's usually the hip hop clubs where she gets rowdy. So I'll tell you another story with her. So another time in the club. So we're chilling. It's just me, her, and a couple of friends. We're chilling. And we're on the dance floor. So there's these 3 girls, they're dancing. They bump into my wife, right? And they look at her, give her a dirty face. So my wife looks at me. I'm like, babe, you know what? Let's just get out dance floor. We could dance over there by the bar. We're not doing this today. And she's like, all right. So we walk away, right? We walk away. We're dancing ourselves. Those same 3 girls followed us and bumped into her again. My wife telling me, you see? You're telling me it's me. He's like, I dare you say it's me. And I'm like, you know what, babe? I don't want to fight you. Click off safe and unwell on her ass. She's like, bet. She turned around, started fucking this girl up.
Oh
right down the spot. She didn't even give her the opportunity to explain. She said, fuck it, because my wife knew exactly what's going on. She was whooping this girl's ass so bad that the other 2 girls that were with her, they just stood stunned. And then they looked at me thinking, I'm going to stop it. And I'm like, that's your fault. You guys were over there. We left. We we raised the white flag. We're like, we don't want to deal with it. You guys decided to take kindness over weakness. Now your friend's paying the price. And then the club bouncers came in. They separated a fight, but that girl got wrecked, demolished. And I'm like, go ahead, po cabrona. That's what you get. Once I tell my wife, hey, click all safe, unload, she knows what that means. That means there's no restriction. Whoop that ass. Because it's true. We left. And I felt kind of stupid because, they bumped into us. I easily saw what was happening. But I'm like, you know what? I just want to chill with my wife. It's me and her. We'll just go. We'll leave. You got this. So why are you following us?
Yeah.
You asked for it. You obviously don't know who my wife is. So there you go. You learned that day.
You learned today.
That's my wife in a nutshell. Oh my God, she's like my best fighting partner. Because I don't know, because she's little. She's like about 110 pounds, 5'2". So like, so they, a lot of people underestimate her, but she fights like a dude. She will take your hair, wrap it around her arm, and she'll just straight knuckle to nose. Like, oh my God, it's brutal. I look at her, even I cringe. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, Jesus Christ. All right, babe, enough. Like, relax. Yo, she's wild. Wild, wild, wild.
That's so funny. Like, I don't think I've gotten into a fight as an adult because, I don't know, I don't let it get that far maybe, but that shit is hilarious. Like, if I saw that shit happen, oh my God. I mean, I don't really go to clubs and stuff, so like when I do go, it's all chill. Like, I don't, so
I'm Puertorock, she sounds amazing.
Yeah. She's like, if you're her friend, and you go to a club together, she's not gonna let no dude or chick disrespect anybody in the group. Especially if you're not doing anything wrong and you're just there by yourselves.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Right?
What the fuck?
She's like, yo, she doesn't like people, and she's not the type. The one thing is, she's not a person that talks. She's not into debating or discussing. She eats her own words, so she knows she's not gonna spend the next hour just arguing. She's like, screw it, let's just go straight to the point. You want to throw down? We're gonna throw down, but we're not gonna chit chat for 30 minutes. Either put your hands up or shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
That's her mentality.
Nice.
But you're not gonna embarrass her friends. That's not gonna happen.
Yo, but why though with that guy that called the chick a hoe? Like her fucking ankle was messed up. What the hell's wrong with him?
But there's some educated dudes. He played the. He probably bought a booth. He's trying to show off. He's trying to. He's thinking himself. Some people don't have. What's the word? Compassion anymore. And I think we're losing that.
Yeah.
I think with the social media interaction and people meeting people over a phone or whatever, we lost the human connection, the compassion.
Yeah.
So a lot of people don't have that no more. Like me, if that was the case, I would be like, oh, you okay? You need me to get you anything? Yo, everybody, whatever,
yeah,
we would take care of the person. Compassion. And a lot of people are losing that.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. I feel like the interpersonal connection is not there anymore with social media being like the main source of how people connect now. It's like it's not the same,
Yeah. So
I think it's like an amazing thing for people, but it's also like it can be a negative thing.
Yeah.
But damn, yo, the club stories though. Damn.
Oh yeah, I got some for days. I got some in my younger years too. Like my early days in the Marine Corps. So another one. So I had a best friend. He's still my best friend. So he's my best friend. I met him when I attached to my first platoon. This is '97. His name is Q, Quinones. So we instantly clicked. He's also from Brooklyn. We instantly clicked, right? So we hanging out and all this stuff. So one day we went to this club, right? It was called 108. And he's like, yo, I'm gonna walk around, meet up with some people. So I'm like, all right. So I'm on the other side of the dance club, chilling with the friends and peeps and stuff like that. I didn't even know he was in the middle of a fight. So he was fighting on the other side of the club, but the club was so packed, you didn't even realize it. Next thing you know, I hear him, he say, yo, he says my name, yo, Martin. I turn around and I see him being carried out by like 4 bouncers, and one of his boot was gone, like his foot, like he had one boot, 10 boot on, and the other one was barefoot. And I'm like, bro, what's going on? He goes, yo, get my boot. And I'm like, what's your boot? I'm like, what the hell is happening? So I'm on the other side, and I'm a dumbass looking for a boot, and it was like under the table. Like it was under the table. Now this is what is embarrassing. So his boot somehow ended up on this table with a bunch of females, and they were very pretty looking. And I'm like, fuck it. I just went under the table, and they're like, what the fuck you doing? I'm like, I had to get a boot. So they're looking at me like, what? So I go outside, and he's still fighting like 3 or 4 people. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? The bouncers, they left. Once they throw you out, they don't care about anything outside.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so I walk out, me and another friend, we walk out, and like these 4 dudes were like surrounding them. I'm like, oh, hell no. So I just ran up on one dude, and I just jumped on top of him, and I just started welling on him. And then my other friend started fighting the other one. The other 2 dudes, they were fighting Q. So I'm thinking I got to make work of this dude real quick because I still got to help out my boy Q and stuff like that, And at the time, I was like 130 pounds. I was a real lightweight too. But again, I was a firecracker back in those days. I didn't give a shit. But it's just crazy how just instantly, because this was my best friend, I just came in out of the blue and just started welling on this dude. I have no idea why they were fighting. I don't know what the reason was. For all I know, it could have been Q who started this shit, but it don't matter. He's my boy. we'll figure this out after the fight, But until then, that's just what happened, And I still remember, we still talk about that to this day. He's like, yo, you remember the day that you had to find my boot? I'm like, man. Like, we talk about that all the time.
Oh, my God. His boot.
But that's just, but what's embarrassing, it was under this table with a whole bunch of females. And I'm like there, like a dumbass, like crawling under this table. And they're looking like, what the fuck is this dude, this perv doing? And I come back, no, ladies, I just had to get a boot.
Oh my God, that's so funny. Yo, but damn, you guys get into a lot of fights. What the fuck? I need to chill.
I don't know. I could tell you so much more. It's just, I don't know.
But you don't do that stuff anymore, right?
No, is what happened. Every fight that I got into, or whether it was me directly or by association, has always been in a hip hop club. Like a Latin club, I don't have this problem. Like weird shit don't happen. It's always the hip hop clubs where something happens. Something just begins. I don't know what it is, but like now I don't go to hip hop clubs no more. Plus the music of hip hop, I can't relate to.
Not anymore.
It's just not anymore. Like I just can't relate to it no more. So it's just mostly me and my wife. We just go to a Latin club. We'll get out reggaeton, salsa, and then we just have a great night.
Yeah.
But it's
so
always
weird.
like the hip hop club.
Maybe it's the setting, like the music gets people like in a different kind of like mood.
It's very aggressive, yeah.
Yeah.
Hip hop, depending on the type of song, it could instigate a very aggressive mindset. While like Latin music, we really don't have that. Latin music is more about romance and dancing, and it's more of a romantic style of music.
Yeah, can you imagine a salsa talking about I'm gonna get my Glock and I'm gonna shoot you? Like that doesn't make a good salsa.
You're not gonna get salsa. Yeah, Mark Anthony's not gonna talk about the trap house. That's that's it. So yeah, pretty interesting.
God. Yeah, yeah, I feel like that's crazy. I don't know. I don't do that stuff. No, but think that was fun. So let's keep it going. Next topic. So basically, this is the end of the show. This is where we let you know where you can find us, especially our guest, Puertorock. Tell us where we can find you and where you are.
Oh, you can find me on Twitter, Puertorock77 _ all together. And you can find me on, here on YouTube, Puertorock77, AAGE. Every Wednesday, you can catch me on my podcast, 60 Frames No Lag. It goes every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. It's an amazing time. I have an amazing panel. I got to get you two on. I got to get the both of yous on there. Yeah, definitely. And it's a podcast for everybody. Everybody can have their preference, but I try to make sure I create a podcast where when you listen to it, you don't feel bad about your product, because that's not what the podcast is about.
That's awesome.
It doesn't matter if you play on Xbox. You can play on the phone for all I care. But it's good to enjoy, hear the podcast, address the issues we have in gaming. But when you log off and you finish hearing the podcast, you don't feel bad, or you don't feel like you're being attacked because of your preference, and that's the type of thing. So that's why I call it 60 frames no lag. It's 60, because as gamers, we understand what that means. That means no bullshit. We want our 60 frames. We want no lag. We want no bullshit on this podcast. And that's pretty it, And I always try to invite a diverse cast. I try to get Xbox gamers, Nintendo gamers, PC gamers, everybody who could openly talk about the platform, provide the knowledge, and I think it's been doing a good job. I think I'm meeting that goal. There was some stumps, but yeah, but definitely would love you two on it.
Thank you.
Get your thoughts on gaming stuff.
We want to thank you so much for coming through.
Yeah, it was awesome having you on. I was, like I said in the beginning, I went to Blue, like maybe episode 2 or 3. And I was like, I want Puertorock on. I want him on. And she's like, okay. So I'm just happy that you
I can't say no to Luca.
Oh, yes, you can. What the fuck are you talking? Why are you lying? What the fuck? Oh my God.
No, but anyway. I'm super like it's really exciting when we've had a lot of gamers on the show that talk about games and things like that. So then when they come on the show and they talk about their lives, it's so interesting to me. Like, I love this. I love being able to learn more about someone. And you're a really cool dude. Like, we related so much. And I kind of, didn't know a lot about you. And it's really interesting because, like, the gaming world keeps it sort of, like, linear, And so when you come on here and you, like, branch out and you like talk about all these things when it comes to, you know, the topics that we bring up. It's amazing. I love this. And just thank you so much for being willing to open up to us.
Thank you so much for the invite. It's just pretty much, it's crazy, like you said, because on our channels and stuff, we pretty much stick to, you know, whatever that content channel is, but we usually don't open up to who we are. So I appreciate this, because this was a good venue for people to know, you know, the other side of Puerto. It's kind of like VH1's Behind the Music.
Yeah.
You know, so this is a unique podcast for the community that really gets to know, and I appreciate being able to open up on this podcast. And then you two are doing a phenomenal job, because you guys make it so easy to open up and actually have real conversations on real topics by real people. You know,
yeah,
so thank you so much for this opportunity.
Oh yeah, thank you.
Of course, we're gonna have his links down below, guys. So if you're interested, definitely give this man a follow. Check out his YouTube page. It's all down there. And Luca, where can we find you?
All right, so you can find me on Twitter at TheAshenLuca. You can also find me on RDX Podcast. That's Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Dealer Gaming's channel. You know, I always have links to the shows I'm on, so you can come through and check that out. And you can find me on Speak Podcast every Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So,
yep.
Yeah.
Of course, we're here every Sunday, you guys know, and we always have a different topic. So definitely come through if you want to partake in the live chat. We do this live every Sunday at 2. The live chat is always lit. Just saying, you guys in chat make it so much fun. If you want to partake in the show in some other way, you can comment down below what topics you would like us to talk about or questions. Today we did get a great question from Iceman, so shout out to him. And shout out to everyone that has been helping out by tweeting and sharing and liking and all that good stuff. We appreciate every single one of you. We really do.
Much love, guys. You guys rock.
Yeah. For me, you can find me on Twitch. I'm usually streaming some bullshit. I'm also doing an anime night now on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So check out my Twitter for that, because it's turning into something, right? Luca's been there, and it's turning into something fun. I'm giving anime
always a good time.
Yeah, I'm giving anime a try. So far so good. we shall see. I'm waiting for something.
Just as long as you hide it. Just as long as you hide it from your friends.
Yeah, like don't tell my friend about it. But yeah, I have a Discord, I have a Twitter, I'm on Twitch, I have, you know, everything here. And you know, thank you all for being here and for supporting. Let us know what you think, and let us know what you think can help make things better. Other than that, I think we are good. I actually enjoyed this show, and thank you guys again. So that's it for now, everyone. If you came late, don't worry. You can listen to us a little later when the show goes up on YouTube, and I will be tweeting that out. So look out for that. And love you guys.
Love you. I love you. Love you guys too.
And that's it. All right. Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Have a great Sunday.